What's up, friends? Welcome back to Rooted Wisconsin. Appreciate you for clicking another episode. Always grateful to have you here. Today's episode is with Travis Hasse, entrepreneur from Wisconsin and avid outdoorsman. We talk about all kinds of cool stuff. He started a liquor business, Travis Hasse's Apple Pie, I think it was called. He has since exited that, but has done some really cool stuff in his career. We talk a lot about entrepreneurship. Recently got back from a bear hunting trip with Cam Haynes and a bunch of other friends of his, and all kinds of cool stuff we dive into. Mentality, mindset. He gave me this cool new knife, ideal for trout fishing, from the Montana Knife Company. Really cool. Excited to put that thing to work. And a whole lot more. We enjoyed some cheese curds on our second iteration of Curb Your Enthusiasm at the end. That's Curd Your Enthusiasm. And a whole lot more. Big shout out to our sponsors at Epic Mortgage. As always, human-centered mortgage services, helping you into your next house. Competitive out there in the housing market. Let them get you a cool rate and help you through the process. Let's jump into this conversation with Travis Hasse.
As the years have passed, so have the ways. We've tried to lift our neighbors. Where did the love go? Where did the talk end? We need some help to make this better again.
What's your morning routine like?
Well, it's a lot different these days than it has been. So I usually get up about 6 to Dad, will you come play cars with me? And then
How old are your kids?
My kid's 5.
Yeah.
Or he'll be 5 in
Your
about
boy?
2 months. Yeah.
What's his name?
River.
So he gets up, so your routines change a little bit?
Yeah, it's because I used to immediately go for a morning walk. I would wake up at like 5, do like a 4-mile morning walk, and then start my day non-breakfast,
Right.
like we talked about earlier. And that was a really good like setup for me. It worked really well, but the kid changed that. My wife isn't a morning person, so
Yeah.
like when we were delineating tasks about being parents, one of the things was, okay, I'm definitely doing the mornings here because she wakes up like. Takes an hour to get going. So I do that, play cards with him for a little bit, make oatmeal, and now I do my workout or whatever I'm going to do for that day after our breakfast when we do the handoff of him.
Yeah.
So these days it's a lot of yoga in the morning. I'll do like 20 minutes of yoga, sometimes 30 if I have the time. In the winter, I'll sauna a lot.
Yeah.
The summer, I don't really sauna as much, mainly because it's counterintuitive in my brain. Like, I'm paying money to air condition my house, but at the
Going
same time, I'm
outside.
going to get this 190-degree room going. So I don't sauna as much in the summer, but I'll do yoga, and then I still try to get a solid like 3-4 mile walk in sometime during the day.
That's great.
Yeah. What about
You live in the
dude?
country?
No, I live right in Ashwaubenon now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far from Lambeau?
Walking distance if you like walking.
Right.
It's probably about 3 miles.
3 miles?
Yeah, something like that.
I still remember that because, like, especially back in the day, one cool gig that I had, like, right when, because I went to lacrosse. Lucky I played football there, right, at La Crosse, Wisconsin for college. Okay. When I got out of that, my friend Alex Wheat and we got tied up and we worked for the X Games.
Okay.
So we went out to Mount Snow, Vermont, and we were pulling cables for camera guys, burying them, right? And to date myself, because I'm 50 in January. Sean White was there. It was his first X Games, and everybody's like, look at this 12-year-old kid. Okay.
Yeah.
So if that dates it back to how far back that goes. But what was really cool there, though, is one of the graphics guys there, where they put graphics on TV. So if you have a score of a game, medals, all that stuff. He also worked for, back then it was Monday Night Football with Al Michaels.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, you two Wisconsin kid. He goes, hey, you guys want to work Monday Night Football? And we're like, both of us are done. We finished our senior year. Alex Wheat actually is the head of the sports, televising sports and everything for Berkeley now, right? But he traveled
Berkeley,
around.
like the fishing company?
No, Berkeley University.
Oh, okay.
Like all their sports, etc.
Okay, got it.
But he and I then got tied into Monday Night Football. And then Melissa Stark was the sideline reporter then, and he was an English major, so he wrote all her sideline stories.
Oh, no
and
way.
we're in college, right? So randomly, we just got hooked up with these guys from the X Games, and then I was Al Michaels' bitch. Okay.
Nice.
Super rad and super good dude. And it was kind of like, my thing was kind of eye-opening where we got to travel around the country, go to all these stadiums. But, I'd get him chicken sandwiches, things like that. And that was back like, you and I talked a little bit because I don't drink.
Yeah.
Like we talked, like if I'm in Italy with my father-in-law, I'll have one. Like a certain area, like it's even coming from the alcohol industry, right, that I used to do. But I'm not a big drinker at all. But Al always had to have a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue Label for after the game. So we'd roll in a limo over to whatever airport. And back then it was ABC. So it'd be on the Disney jet. So it'd take him back to LA or whatever it was. And he'd leave the bottle of Blue Label with us. And he'd be like, hey, just be safe tonight. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So it was a lot of fun, to get around that.
That's a cool story, man. That's what I often talk about, the power of saying yes and just like seizing an opportunity when it's in front of you. That's a prime example, dude.
Dude, it's crazy too. It's like somehow if you look at like what people are blessed on in life, somehow God's like connected me with really cool people around my life.
Yeah.
And and I'm sure everybody, sees this, right? But just somehow that circle of people that I come around with and we're in Green Bay, right? And we're in Ashwaubenon and everything, and we're how far from Lambeau Field. And one of my college football coaches was Brian Gutekunst.
Oh, no way.
For a GM of the Packers.
Okay.
Right? And it's just funny how like God is, and it's not name dropping, but somehow circle of friends have all done some pretty cool things. Even like Alex Wheat, like we were saying, it's writing sideline stories. He went on and did Olympics, F1 racing, and now he's obviously running things in Berkeley, which is cool.
Yeah, a lot of it, like energy reverberates too. Like the stuff you put out into the world comes back to you too. I firmly believe that. And it's funny, I had a very similar conversation with a dude named Andy Strand. I don't know if you remember Shad Rat from back in the day. So
I'm going to blow your mind, right? This is where the world works, right?
Okay.
Andy was one of our coaches at lacrosse.
So that's where this was going because he was talking about Gutekunst. I think Gutekunst stood up in his wedding or his friend's wedding or something. And similar thing, like just a cool cat, puts good energy into the world, tries to help people. And I like the people when you choose to spend your time with people that you see that from, it affects your trajectory in ways. And even pushing over the hurdle of like, ooh, do I talk to this guy?
Right.
Like when I had Larrabee on the podcast, it was training camp and he was just behind Lambeau and I was riding my bike by, and most people like I think at least for me, I get real uncomfortable about like taking pictures. Like I never asked somebody to take a picture with them. It feels like a succubus, like I just want to gain some value out of this. But like everything in me, I didn't even think about it. I just zipped over my bike. I was like, "What's up, Wayne? I got a podcast. You want to come on?"
Yeah,
and he said yes.
Yeah.
It's the things you're willing to do.
Yeah. And it's small, because I've never met him in person. We've just chatted over Instagram, and I love following Up North Jake.
Oh yeah, dude.
Because I think you had him on your podcast, right?
I did, yeah.
And I love the creativity out of him.
Yeah.
And kind of go to Shadrap. He had something that he posted was like, whatever the last person or something that happened with Shadrap. And I was like, dude, I'll blow your mind. Like Andy was one of our college coaches. Yeah. And he, it was just funny, dude. And then like we'd have a house party and he would literally like get on the roof and they would just start this Shadrap stuff that they were calling while they were in college. And like I said, I'm 49. So if that tells you how many years later, it was just way ahead of their time. But then you look at the creativity of even Jake traveling around, doing his thing, something cool from Wisconsin. It's kind of one of those where it's like, the timing and ahead of time. And then you just kind of look at the creativity, as you were saying, of just different, personalities and doing something cool. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And having that staple of the Midwest and Wisconsin versus I'm from Texas. You know what I mean? Or
the coasts.
exactly,
Always,
right?
yeah.
And it's like,
I hate the phrase "the culture comes from the coasts."
yeah,
Can't stand it because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, we build the culture, man.
yeah.
Yeah, I knew nothing about Jake before he came on the
But
podcast.
those are the best podcasts.
It was the best.
Yeah.
And our conversation, I always love it. They go so many different directions that
Mhm.
you don't think, because like you see his persona that he
Yeah.
puts on of Up North Jake, right? It's this like larger than life Northwoods, Wisconsin. He comes in with this raccoon on his head and
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
And you see the persona, but then you dive into the layers of the person. And it was so awesome talking about like his relationship with substance abuse and how he had come out of that.
Yeah.
And just like how he attacks the day. Similar to the first question you asked me, what's your morning routine? Like we talked about a lot of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's every time I get to have those conversations, it's like refreshing and it's a great reminder of why I started the podcast in general.
And even just creativity.
Yeah.
Okay. And the best part is you go to Lambeau Field, you go to a Green Bay game. Guys with badgers on their heads, like, you know, and I mean, but it's part of it, right?
Yeah,
you know, and I know
absolutely.
that he was talking a little bit too about, you know, some of his friends on the reservation, like with deer hides.
Mhm.
I mean, but it is all part of just the way that it is. It's not trying to be cool. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's
Yeah.
authentic. And,
Ripping around on four-wheelers and cleaning
and
fish.
that's
Yeah,
why it resonates. Plus he's talented too.
absolutely.
You know? Like it's when you see someone I'm weird like that, right? I don't even know how old he is, but when, you see someone that has, not to say that it factor, I don't know if that's what it is, but normally that'll come down to somebody truly just being themselves and not trying to, like you were saying about the pictures, it's kind of like where it's going with, right? I don't have to be some weird persona, just be yourself because people do different things for a job.
Yeah.
Or their business or whatever. It's just part of their life. It doesn't mean like that they're not approachable. And I think taking pictures is great. Like it's a good memory. You know, it can be weird. Like I played golf league. I'm not a big golfer. I play 9 holes at University Ridge. There's 92 of us there.
Okay.
Right. And my friend Ryan Groy, he's another hunter. Great guy. He's awesome. But he played O-line at Wisconsin. Then he played for the Chargers, and he played in Buffalo. I think he had one more stint in between there. But him and I were just bullshitting last night because he's got a tag in Utah, and he had a mule deer tag there last year. And we're both archery guys, and it's just fun to talk. And we were talking about like Joe Thomas because he's a big hunter. You know, he's a big outdoor guy, and he has his Hall of Fame
beef going now. Yeah, I've been following that closely. It's awesome.
It's great, right? And we were also talking a little bit about like self-promotion. Okay. Like what is that fine line of being yourself? And him and I had he's an offensive lineman. So he's going to be the guy that doesn't want to be known versus the running back or the quarterback is kind of more known. Right.
Yeah,
and he had a stellar career. And like, you know, we were talking about like, you know, self-promotion and stuff like that. And it's like, there's a guy like Jake is just being himself. And I don't even look at that as self-promotion. That's just like doing your art form, right? So we had a fun conversation, right? About like, you know, good dudes. And it's kind of like, but if someone gets in the spotlight, do you really know that person, or is it just the persona that you see on TV, right? But you could find the authentic people that are out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some people get really good at putting on the mask too. And it's kind of it's this weird kind of balancing act because anytime you put the camera on somebody, like subliminally, it's going to change their behavior a little bit. But at the same time, like we see on social media, people constantly just being like, quote unquote, duped by people like physically acting, like putting on a comedy skit or something like that. Funny you bring that up. Rogan had JD Vance on. He dropped the episode earlier this week or last week. And so much of the episode pissed me off because like politics is in a place of it's all a facade, dude.
Yeah.
And if you listen to that conversation, you hear it time and time again. Like he actually said it's something about I'm in the optics business or something like that.
JD said that?
JD, yeah.
JD,
and it's incredibly true. Like these sound bites and their responses and the things they say are all calculated. And I think that's why we've gotten to the point where the majority of Americans just kind of look past what's said in politics. And we're in the place right now of, okay, what's actually being done? Because like so much of it is this facade bullshit that it's like, okay, my comms team told me that this is how I answer this question. And it's all optics, dude. It's the smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And the same can be said about social media and marketing. And I think that's where like self-promotion becomes, starts to feel a little uncomfortable for people at times because the camera flips on. It's like, oh, if I say the wrong thing, somebody's going to get pissed, or like, Grandma Janet's going to watch this and I can't swear or something when the rest of your day you're walking around swearing.
But then the ones that do, let's just say, like making it to me is a subjective term.
Oh yeah, what does that
right?
mean? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What does it actually mean, right? But when you look, as we kind of go back to people just being authentic in themselves, I have that phrase that I say. It's and I apologize if I swear on your podcast,
swear away.
right? But it's
the
I
explicit
care.
button is easy to click.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. But I care. But at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. But I do care.
Yeah.
But if somebody really has a major problem with something or whatever, it's just kind of like not worth the time. You know what I mean? But you still want to care about your persona and what you're doing. That's just being a good person.
Yep.
I think at the end of the day, so authentically, it's bad we even have to use the term authentic. I think.
Yeah.
And it pushes that, and even like, into the politics. I love people. I don't like when people say don't talk about politics.
Oh yeah.
It's like you should.
It's life.
There's no reason not to. And I don't know if it goes to the baby boomer generation. I rip on the baby boomers a lot. I think they're great people. You know what I mean? But, when I break down financially, the ease kind of life, they all think they're rich because their home values went up, but they don't know why their home values went up, but they think they have this equity, so they feel rich and, I got to have a second home, all this consumption type mentality, which isn't bad. They didn't do anything wrong. It's just the way that it was, right? But it's weird that we just kind of got to, pull into this authenticity. And when obviously you're a professor in marketing. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you teach authenticity? You just be yourself.
Right.
And it's hard for people to do that,
100%. Yeah. Especially in youth, man. Especially in youth. Embracing your true self is tough for youthful people to do. It's tough for anybody to do. Like being comfortable bearing your true colors and having that feeling actually that you just mentioned of like, it is what it is. And I don't really give a shit what people think about it,
Yeah.
And that's fascinating in the marketing world, man, because again, smoke and mirrors a lot of times. And I think as soon as you flip that switch to comfort and having that mentality of, I'm going to bare my soul here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go out every day. Like one of the core things I try to do in my life is just impact people positively. That's a big statement. It means a lot of different things. But if that's my intention, I'm completely comfortable with any action that I take as long as it lives under that.
Yeah.
Like if I do something because I think it's going to positively impact somebody or something around me, if it comes with some pushback or some negativity or something, a lot of times that's okay because we can start a dialogue about maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm misguided a little bit or something. Or two, maybe we can talk about, and you'll leave this conversation thinking a little bit differently than you had in the previous. But it takes some work to get there with society as it is right now because we're used to outrage, we're used to, oh, this pisses me off, I'm going to say something about it.
Keyboard warrior. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Without critical thought. And without, the depth of analysis that looks at things from other people's lenses.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, even talking about politics, even social media, cutting, editing.
Yeah.
Whatever side you're on, right? I don't even think there needs to be a side. I mean, that's the crazy part, right? But
we should all be on a side right now.
I know shit, right?
We should do.
We look at just all the examples, right? It's like, the lady congresswoman up in Minnesota. I don't agree with any of her her philosophies in life or politics, But like when she said the whole World War XI thing that everybody like clipped out.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, like she, because she was supposed, Roman numeral, right? Instead of World War II, they instantly cut it, and she corrected herself because she was reading.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But like within seconds, and like I said, I disagree with anything she has to say, like visualize, right? But like that's just an example of like media where they make her look like she doesn't even know what World War II was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
she just says, World War XI, and she goes, no, I mean World War II, because and it's like, then they cut it and make her look like the biggest buffoon in politics, and that can sum it up with Trump to JD Vance to anybody,
everybody.
It's just
Absolutely
the power of media and social media, just normal media, like it pushes crazy things in people's minds,
100%.
And I look at like, because a lot of the things I like to do is like, I like to encourage like some younger generational people, and like having their own self-identity, coming up with that authenticity is where all this conversation is rounding, is just not falling into the bullshit. Have a guy like Jake just be himself and rip his music and be creative, and he makes a living out of it.
And just
right?
grind. Yeah.
It is a grind.
Yeah, and that's the positive side I see of social media. We have so much information at our fingertips now that I think mainstream media has pretty much dug their own grave.
Yeah.
Like outside of the old boomers that are still watching, CNN or Fox News or MSNBC.
Trust me, I have.
Yeah, they're all right. They're good. There's a lot of great people. I love talking with older folks. There's so much like information that can be gleaned out of it if you pluck the things that are valuable, right? But like outside of that generation who like has this intrinsic or built-in faith in mainstream media because they did throughout their lives. That was the thing. I think mainstream media has kind of dug their own grave on both sides by being so polarizing and like apparently on a team. It was so readily apparent to us.
Well, we were talking about this, right? We're talking about cameras when we walked in here, right? Of DJI. And then GoPro.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like mainstream media had it in front of their face the entire time. And so take back like when I used to be in the alcohol industry, right? You had Anheuser-Busch sitting there in St. Louis and their mahogany. I can just picture it. I don't know if it's true, right? But all the executives, we grew another 8%, blah, blah, blah. And then even like when I, what was it, like 2005 is when I started getting into that, around in that area. And when I started my own, Travis Hasse's apple pie shots, like back in the day, right? I owned this small tavern called the Missouri Tavern, and a bunch of places made their own versions of apple pie.
Oh yeah,
right?
It's a Wisconsin classic, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, but even out in North Carolina, Kentucky, there's places everywhere. It's like the limoncello of the Midwest. Let's just call it that, right? Because it's even like in Italy, how many people make homemade versions of limoncello, and then you bottle it, but everybody has that romantic touch of, let's say grandma used to make this, or my dad used to make this, and there's emotional connection to it. It's romanticized, and it may not be the best tasting, whatever. It's all subjective, right? Because even in that alcohol industry, we're kind of talking about Anheuser-Busch I can picture the old school guys in wool suits and kind of arrogant. It's like, we grew again, everybody. But then there was this movement of, because when I started, there were 89 distilleries in the country, and probably 90% of them only made medicinal or pharmaceutical grade or rubbing alcohol.
Really?
And not a lot of them.
89?
Like you had like the old Buffalo Trace, which I think is longest continuous alcohol consumption company that's there. Like there was a time of prohibition where things kind of got shut down, you know what I mean? But they were still making like some medicinal stuff, right?
Okay.
Now there's over 4,000.
I was going to say, I can't believe there were only 89. That's crazy.
And even if you go back and look at the history of like Wisconsin, like what tide houses are?
No.
So you go back, there's, there's an awesome documentary that I saw somewhere like on public TV that talked about like the history of brewing in Wisconsin. And so a tide house would be, let's say, Gray's Brewery that was in Janesville. Okay. They opened one back up. It was like Gray's Tide House. So a Tide House was where you would serve to the public. It was like a brew pub. And in Wisconsin, they just called them Tide Houses. So there were over 200 breweries, small little local breweries that were in Wisconsin. But when home consumption came around, the bottle, Miller Lite, you know what I mean, served on a bottle. Remember the old, I mean, you're a marketing guy. Remember the wife with the tray and like, hey, we're bottling this beer and now this tap beer is coming home, right?
Yeah.
They went down to 5 breweries that were in the state of Wisconsin just because home consumption started hitting the local little Tide Houses. And that's where, like in Wisconsin, you can go around and, like I say, you see something that's a Tide House. It used to be tied to a brewery and they made their own beer. And you would just walk in and get served that beer. Like I said, there's a really cool documentary on it. And so they went around and pegged like some kind of like Wisconsin staples. And actually they came to the Missouri when I had apple pie there and did like a quick film about how I, at the very end, they got Craig Culver in there and like just some, just people that kind of started something that were like Wisconsin, and it was cool. But it's fascinating. Like when we go back to the marketing kind of when we went down this rabbit hole of, I just picture these executives sitting there. And then back then, like I can always remember, let's say Capital Brewery or New Glarus, right? It was, what's their season? I can't wait for their seasonal beer to come.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can't wait for Summer Shandy to come out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Then it was gone. But I can remember like where I started seeing that shift of maybe it was time for me to move out of the industry just because I could see that turn, right? And then it turned into, what is the next new brewery on the wall? And then how do you even get longevity to make that brand stick? How do you get a loyal customer that's going to drink it? Because the new distribution was super easy. Even like when I launched, like I could launch state after state after state and selling across the country, but trying to get a consumer to actually pull that product again and to rebuy that product or to listen to a podcast every single week. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The marketing and the consumer pull and how do you keep that engagement? It's just, I could walk into Woodman's and be like, the new brewery on the block this month, and then they're gone.
Right.
And then people would be like, oh my God, I got to get into the brewery. Or when I started seeing every lawyer put on overalls and come into a distributor and act like a moonshiner, you know what I mean? With their shirt off and like, it's just like, dude, this industry it's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not to say it's done, and now you see kids, like a lot of kids don't even drink. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like we were talking about this before, and it's cool to see how the different generations and what they're consuming, what they're into, social media. I mean, I would have been torched if I had social media back in the day. You know what I mean? I'd have to pull the 8 Mile Marshall Mathers and stand up and tell everybody everything I did wrong because it's going to come back, full force anyways. Right.
Same, man.
So.
Same. Yeah. Yeah. It's encouraging to see that. I think that's a I don't know, a part of Wisconsin culture that I don't love that we hang our hat on it so much, like so much pride in drinking a case of beer,
Yeah.
It's interesting. But that's such a critical piece of being an effective entrepreneur is being able to kind of see the writing on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And you exited before
2019.
Okay. So 2019.
Yeah.
So actually kind of right
2018, 2019, it was just kind of.
So did you see the demographic shift coming too then of people drinking less?
I could see it in craft beer before craft distilling.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
And, I mean, I'm so dated. Like I can remember, being in Las Vegas, they would have like where all the distributors get together. It's called WSWA, and that's where like distributors would get together. Basically, they would just get all the suppliers, all the manufacturers of whatever alcohol brands. And, going back to when Tito Beverage, or Tito's Vodka, he's originally from Wisconsin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And his real name is Tito Beverage. Like his last name is literally Beverage.
Did he change it to that?
No, that's how he's born. It was Tito Beverage.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Talk about being written.
And I believe, don't mark me on this one. He got not 100%, but I think I have my story straight, is so his grandpa actually invented the car hauler trailer and then they had a contract to haul from GM trucks and cars to the franchise dealerships.
Makes sense.
Right. But his story is true, where he literally made his own first stills. He was living down in Texas. And why I brought up Tito is like when I was started, like they were pretty much just selling in Texas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And entrepreneur wise, to kind of see something that was just kind of cool and different. And he still owns 100% of that brand, no investors. He owns 100% of it.
Really?
100, and it's the most distributed alcohol brand, I believe, in the world.
I was going to say, yeah, it's virtually
Yeah.
taken over the world. I can't believe his name is Tito Beverage.
It's Tito Beverage, yeah.
That's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to call him out. Many people know it, but he has a place in Lake Geneva.
Was that
So he's down at Lake Geneva, and he goes to the local places, supports him. Super cool dude. Like he floats. He goes to Montana a lot and he fishes. So they call it floating, right? Going down the river and trout fishing, right?
Okay, yeah.
He likes to shoot guns, you know what I mean? And he's got, and he tinkers on some of his own stuff with.
So he's a cool dude, you're saying?
Dude, Tito's rad, dude. Tito's super rad. But he's authentic, right? And literally all that stuff, like he would go around and like all of us, like he'd put up his own table tents in the bars and going up and down 6th Street in Austin back in the day, trying to get relationships with bars to help them out and promote their product. And, the distributors got behind him. Just, I was blessed. General Beverage, was a distributor here in town. They are in Wisconsin, and they supported my brand from day one. Ended up moving over to Frank Liquor and Badger about 7 years later. And that was just because I combined Salesforce with my mentor, Tom Moss, who started Rumchata.
Okay.
Yep. And then him and I kind of sold bottles. I didn't own any of Rumchata, but we just helped each other sell each other's brand.
Yeah.
We took that across the country, and my brand went along for a ride with them. And
that's
just
awesome, dude.
Having that foresight.
So at the time, was that your aspiration, that type of growth?
No. Yeah. It's everybody, I think, always has I'm different, where I never wanted to build a brand thinking I was just going to sell it. I think that's small-minded, because then you're just in a race to an end.
Yeah.
Versus if you build something, as we talk, with authenticity, building it the right way, you're going to fumble way more on cash flow, cost of goods, and stupid shit like that.
Yep.
Right? I did. One time I had $250,000 in credit card debt.
Probably because you care about it, right? Because it's something you're putting your soul into.
But nobody would lend me money to start an alcohol brand either. I mean, my mom lent me $10,000. That was it. I still haven't paid her back, but she was my biggest champion. But if you look at anything that you build, and I think if you build it structurally sound, and if someone does buy it, that's just icing on the cake. And that really means you built something with longevity, like let's say with legacy. Okay. And I really did learn that from Tom Moss, who started Rumchata, because Tom used to work at Fortune Brands, which he developed, like Apple Puckers, Aftershock. So he worked large scale. So he really knew how to manage a brand on the distributor side. I knew nothing about that. I was just some kid from Monroe, Wisconsin, owned a tavern, made some homemade shit. Back when I started, there's a guy by the name of Guy Rayhorse, which is Great Lakes Distillery, that's in Milwaukee. It's down by the Harley Museum. Guy is awesome. He is the only reason distilleries even exist in Wisconsin, because he lobbied to change laws to be able to open a distillery. Because back then, the breweries lobbied so hard because of a grain state, they didn't want distilleries here.
Yeah.
And Guy had made some money. I think what he did was something in CDs and putting pictures on disc. Sorry, Guy, if I'm saying this wrong, but he took that money and he invested it, and then just started, Great Lakes Distillery. And that kind of really put it on the map. And he was the first guy that helped me get my bottling going. But I started in Michigan, because his distillery wasn't even open yet, wasn't even able to produce yet, or anything of that nature. And, kind of came along from there. But then Tom Moss, they got downsized. New CEO came into Fortune Brands, into Jim Beam. So Jim Beam would be the biggest brand that Fortune Brands had back then. And of course, with like a lot of head coaches, like your sales team gets wiped out. And then they kind of had more, I'll call it like Northwestern mentality, more accounting versus like his boss was, God, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he played for the Packers. You know what I mean? They were more kind of sports guys and, you know, they just had a different vibe. And then in comes more corporate mentality that took over. You know what I mean? So
the bean
shift,
counters, dude.
the bean, they had a different sales force. So a lot of those guys got, you know, severance packages, et cetera. But that's when he went into business for himself. And he's the one who actually kind of opened my mind to not doing 1,000 different flavors to be that next thing. He's like, he goes, just concentrate on the one, build it. And then I always kind of came up with the philosophy. It's like, I know my brand's going to make it is if the brand sells without me pushing it and my big ego with a name on a bottle of Travis Hasse's apple pie. Right. And then I was always like, the other one I knew that I make it is if I was at a flea market and I could see one of my liquor signs for sale at the flea market, I knew I made it.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So, and the first time I saw that, I was up in St. Germain, Wisconsin at a local flea market and there's Travis Hasse tin signs for sale. And I'm like, dude, like the brand made it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the dude that I went and bought the cheese curds from today knew it. He asked me who was coming on and I told him and he was from Madison. He said, I used to drink the apple pie.
Yeah.
So,
that's funny.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So, which is a good ride, which is fun.
Yeah. So like what was the feeling like when you decided to exit? Like, was it something you built up to for a long time or did the situation present itself and you had to decide?
And that's the case, right? It's like, that's where I kind of mean, like, you really, like, you know, Tom will tell you that, and Tom's open about this, so I'm not telling Tom's story. He kind of had a vision just because he knew being on Jim Beam, they would buy brands. So he knew how that worked, right? So his original maybe philosophy was, hey, I'm going to build this and then someday I'm going to get it to the point, because you are going to get to a point to either you can suffocate the brand and it'll die, or it needs that next step of distribution. So a good example is Gallo Wine Company now owns Rumchata, okay? And just taking that from, you know, a local 20-person sales force, you know, now you've got bigger distribution. You can package it with other brands, with wine brands. You can force more distribution, right? So there is a point to where the brand will be better off with something larger, a machine, once it gets to that point. Or you just start cannibalizing the brand. And even me as like a one-man show, because what I did is I actually sold mine to Tom. And then he knew I wanted to go off and just start doing something different. And him and I can call him today and there's zero animosity between us two. It's like one of those good partnerships. Don't get me wrong. You'd bump heads, of course. Right. But that's part of life.
Growth comes from it.
And he was a lot older than me. And like, this is where I always talk about mentorship. It's like, I've always found like a good mentor there to help you kind of see that. I just knew his time. And it's just like, you know, you have that feeling where it is. Brand still does really well. You know, it's fun to walk into stores and still see it. Like you still smile about it. Like you're getting cheese curds and somebody knew that was there. Yeah. But it helps the longevity of it and the legacy that it can keep running. So I just knew it was time. The weird part was, as an entrepreneur, is I'm like, hey, I'm not going to do something for a year. Okay. I'm just going to, you know, chill out. My wife and I were fortunate. My wife, Brittany, and I, we bought right before that though, we bought a place in Sunset Beach down in Treasure Island, Florida, which is kind of by Clearwater in Tampa Bay, or Tampa Bay. And I'm like month into it, I'm like, this is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, in your early 40s, you're just like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, you were driven to do something.
Yeah, exactly, right? And it's just like, well, there's nobody to hang out with. All my buddies are working. I mean, it's, you know, nobody there to go fishing with. Like, I still go hunting, right? But I could go out by my own. But then again, too, it's like, me being a social creature, it's, I just was missing something, you know? And so that identity thing was there, right? Of like, now, like, what do I do? Like we're talking too, like, are you authentic? What are you going to do? And the easy thing to do would be like, oh, I did one liquor brand. I can do it again. That was the hardest thing to fight, is to not go into the norm. It's
because it's what you knew.
Oh, and I have rad brands that I created in that time. Like I've got my good friend Nick, that he's a great artist. My other friend Dan, he's a great artist, and created and mocked up and even made bottle molds of all these cool brands. And I'm just like, sometimes you can catch lightning in a bottle once. And sometimes too, is my ego going to get in the way? And is this the right way to go? And knowing of like what you saw coming up in the industry and your gut instinct, none of us have a crystal ball, right? With AI, all this stuff, none of us have a crystal ball to see what's going to happen. But having that gut instinct, do I follow my gut, or does my ego take over and say, yeah, you can do it again? You see people do this all. Conor McGregor, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's and Conor's awesome. I'm a huge Conor fan.
Me too. I love Conor.
And it's just because of what he's pushing through, right? I mean, I'm well more on a Michael Chandler, side. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fortunate. I know Michael's awesome friend. I just like what he's about, like his persona, wife, kids, building good brand. He's all about America, 2 adopted boys. He's a great father. Like he's built that. But Conor also put UFC on the map pretty cool. But 5 years later, if you don't fight, blah, blah, blah. And what did it last? 3 seconds?
Yeah.
And he got injured. And it doesn't mean that he's bad or whatever, right? But it's kind of like, do you know when is the when? I don't know that. Marketing wise, maybe it was good or whatever, maybe it was bad. I don't know. But it's kind of like, was that the right time to come back, or was the ego getting in the way and just stay retired and promote in a different way? You know what I mean? And just go on to that next step. That was the hardest thing for me, was not letting my ego get in the way and going back to the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And let's push to something different and utilize the same principles. And let's start building a completely different industry where I could see in my mind where, let's say, like, because we do last mile delivery now,
Yep.
right? We have about 300 employees, full-time employees there, where we do last mile delivery. And I could see that consumer shift, and then COVID hit while I was starting it. And was that lightning in a bottle again, that it just accelerated it? The consumer was already there, but it just pushed the consumer even more. And I knew after COVID was going to be done, it wasn't going to go back to going to brick and mortar like it was.
Yeah.
Online was here to stay.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
absolutely. And it was probably, like, being not much of a drinker, it was probably somewhat of an identity thing too, right? Like, okay, it was awesome that I built this thing, but then you look back on all the work you did to put in to build that thing, and it's like, does it align with me? And you probably had some thoughts about that, right?
And when I was 30 years old, like, don't get me wrong, I partied my ass off.
Yeah.
And that's not bragging about it. It's like coming from lacrosse.
So at the time when you started it, you were a drinker.
Totally.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like, even like when I bought the Missouri Tavern, I bought it with my friend Trent back then, and a year later ended up buying him out of it because he just had other bars that he was running. I used to hang out at his place, but that was because I do currently just, like, people obviously out there don't know what I do now, but, so I do last mile delivery. So I have a contract with Amazon. So we do a good chunk of the Amazon last mile delivery around Madison and Milwaukee. Okay. But then I also buy real estate. So, I fortunate, right? And I come from Monroe, Wisconsin, and this isn't trying to be like cool, whatever, but, my mom was pregnant when she was a teenager with my brother. You know what I mean? My dad, I don't think ever made more than 25 grand in a year. Not put my dad down. My dad was a great diesel mechanic, volunteer firefighter. My mom was a 911 dispatcher for 40 years, 1 month.
Nice.
Right to the point, and worked a swing shift. So my parents always were working, and I was the youngest, so I kind of had a lot of freedom to kind of go out there. So just building that, I kind of lost my train of thought where I was running with that. I do that a lot, hitting the head a lot in college football. But, anyways.
That's all right, man.
Yeah, we're running with it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot in there. There's a lot in there to think about and consider, but the the underlying things that drive success in those are repeatable no matter where you put it. If you have persistence and tenacity and you're able to kind of put the pieces together of what may come next.
Yeah.
It's a lot like hunting, dude. Like being an entrepreneur is a lot like hunting to me, where you get a bunch of clues along the way, but one, do you really see them? Two, do you act on them the right way? And then three, are you tenacious and persistent enough to continue down the path when you know it's right?
Yeah.
That can be apple pie liquor. That can be buying real estate.
Intuition.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're talking about. I could see the consumer changing there a little bit. Right.
Yeah.
And, but it's that intuition of recognizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's an example that I like to tell. So after sold apple pie, all that was kind of coming to an end. I've told this story 100 times. It's fun. But, so my friend Brad and I were fishing in Canada, and, so we're just jigging for walleyes, right? There's 4 of us always go, my buddy Aubrey, my best friend from high school, my buddy Jay, and Brad. And it's so much shit talking. It's so much fun, right? But we're in 15-horse tiller motors, jigging for walleyes. We always go to Ghost River, up in Sioux Lookout, and like, we don't fly in or anything of that nature, but they're a great family. They're 3rd generation. You never see other boats, hardly ever, here or there, but just fishing for walleye is awesome. So we're sitting there and we're all talking shit, and Brad's ripping on me, calling me Hollywood, money bags, what are you going to do now? All this shit, right? And I literally go, I'm like, Brad, I'm going to come deliver packages with you. And he was like, yeah, he goes, really, no shit. In the holidays, like, you can do that as a seasonal helper at UPS, and you can ride around the truck with me, and there's so many packages. Like, I drive up the street, you run across the street, I go to the other side. I'm like, dude, I'm going to do that. And this is August. Okay. So I went down to our place in Florida, and, just here's the intuition that we're talking about. Okay. My history, though, is my grandpa owned a trucking company, and he had 3 semis, and he would haul cheese from the cheese factories in Monroe, Wisconsin to Chicago. And my dad did that his entire life. And my grandpa got sick, and back then you had to be 21 to have a CDL. So my dad was 18, and he was going to MATC for business school for 2 years, but still working with my grandpa. So my dad's wrenched on trucks his whole life. And my grandpa got sick in that time frame and sold the business. So then my dad became, went literally the shop across the street that used to do all the maintenance on my grandpa's 3 semis. And he was there for his entire career at Monroe Truck Equipment, or not Monroe Truck Equipment, but Monroe Trucks Incorporated. And he worked on semis. So here's where that intuition comes from. Me just being around that logistics, I always just kind of felt who's ever going to change logistics before we have what we have now is where I'm going to end up in my second push. Right?
Okay, so you had thought about it in the past a little bit.
But the last mile delivery was never like in my mind.
Right, it was the puzzle piece.
It just like you could feel that intuition just like hunting. You can feel that intuition of what's going to float there and what may come. And it's the same thing in sports, right? If you're playing defensive end or outside linebacker, you have an intuition of where the ball is going. You've just done it so much. Like Goody, he has an awesome intuition to pick talent. Like, look at Clay Matthews, Rodgers, like, cause he started out as a scout. Okay. And then traveled 280 days on the road. And he would go as deep into like where you're looking at a kid that they may draft, where he's going to go to their hometown. He's going to talk to local restaurants, local bars. Is this person, and not say who he is, but what's their character like? You know what I mean? So there's more of that going into it when you're putting that much money into a player to come to the Packers, right? And now look at him as a GM. You just have that intuition. I had that with logistics, and it all stemmed just because my grandpa had a trucking company, and I thought it was cool. And I just hung around my dad's shop all the time, and I'd pull semis in and out, right? But fishing with Brad and him saying, "Hey, you can come do this," I'm like, I'm gonna go do it, right? But just from that moment, that like it was like 2 weeks later, I went down to Florida, and an Amazon van drove in front of our driveway, and I walked up to the kid, and I'm like, "Hey, when did Amazon start delivering?" I never would have had that thought if I wasn't screwing around with Brad and having him and being he's 30 years. 30 years right now. He's been a UPS driver.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just never would have had that thought. And the young man said, he goes, well, I work for a third party. It's not actually Amazon. And I tracked that guy down and I looked into what is now the largest logistics company in the world, moving, built across the country. And it's actually got built that fast. And selfishly, I was trying to, see what it's like. Could I get it in Florida? Can I move to nicer weather? Still come back here, hunt and fish. But, the couple markets were spoken for already, but it was a pilot program that they were doing, and Tampa just happened to be one of them. And they're like, hey, we see you live in Wisconsin. We're going to open Wisconsin, and you can be one of the first ones to, open there. And that was like right before that COVID time hit. So I literally went and worked at UPS because now I kind of had something that I was going to shoot for. I have something different to start, but I went back and I was a seasonal helper at UPS, packing trucks, and I wanted to learn what it was like to be a driver.
Yeah, gathering a bunch of knowledge and
100%.
experience with it.
And once that was over, I went and worked for another company called CS Logistics, just because the Amazon Center wasn't ready to open yet. They didn't get their certificate of occupancy, got pushed back for whatever with the county. They had to do some things, whatever. So it kind of kept getting pushed back a little bit. And so I go and work for this company called CS Logistics, which is cool. I learned a lot. There's one of my buddies that was actually at UPS. He got a job there, and he called me, and he didn't know why I was doing it. The money's great, right? I mean, I'm making money too at the same time. My wife loved it because I lost 15 pounds for walking everywhere. But then I went and worked for this company, CS Logistics, and the funny part is that I was delivering wine to the liquor stores that used to buy my brand.
Okay.
So I can remember then the word on the street was going around. It's like, oh, Travis is on tough times. He's working for this. He's a delivery guy for this wine. What happened to Travis? And I'm just like, and which is cool. Like, I'm glad people I thought it was fun. Right. And he's on hard times. His brand failed or whatever. Right. Because nobody ever knows like what the real story is. But got a lot of, knowledge there. And then, then COVID hit. And then that's literally right when I started our company called Perfect Puzzle right now, where I was literally hiring people from the kitchen table over the phone on Indeed, because so many people lost their jobs. And then I was hiring.
Yep.
And
in an industry that was about to boom, so it was safe hiring.
And now it's like so they were one of the whatever, what do they call it? The business, essential business.
Oh, the essential employees, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it was wild, bro. I mean, it was wild. Like, and we just rapidly grew, and even still to today. I mean, this is 7 years later, and we have a good core of, it's probably close to 30 people have been with us since day one. Of just building those leaders from within and growing those companies. But you can't, and having that intuition and the ego thing, right, that we were talking about before. The hardest thing was actually learning how to pull myself out of it and not be the guy that's tinkering, thinking that I'm the only reason that this exists. And it's just the opposite. The more I actually take myself out of it, the better our organization runs, even though I still know what's there. And working with key people, and trying to build leaders from there, having people make their own mistakes and growing. It's fun, right? And it actually becomes more efficient. It actually becomes more profitable. But where that relays, and then I actually take that cash flow and I buy rental real estate. I have some employee housing, which is awesome, that employees that work with us, not to say it's employee housing, but we're able to buy some area, things, and employees are able to live there at a
nice
decent
little perk,
rate.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then I know people are taking care of it too. So it works out twofold. But even just in my system, but then currently,
your employee's not going to jack up your house,
right? But yeah, then me and my friend Dan and Mike on a kind of like a larger scale, then we have almost 1,000 units rental units that are on top of that of even running our companies. So the whole model's worked out pretty cool. And a lot of that, pulling it back would never have happened if I didn't take my ego out of the whole thing.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
That's a really fun part of leadership to talk about. Naturally, I'm kind of a leadership junkie too. I've done a lot of like learning about it throughout my life and tried to develop as an effective leader. And one of my like kind of misses, especially early on in leadership in youth, was I was the opposite end of the spectrum. I was far too laissez-faire as a leader.
Mhm.
And I got some feedback at times from direct reports or things that I was doing of they wanted a little bit more direction and me to be a little bit more involved.
Yeah.
When my like natural instinct is to like try to pick the right person and then let them go. Just do what you do. Like I picked
Mhm.
you for a reason, make it happen. And I think sometimes that's a little bit of my own bias because that's what I do. You know,
Yeah.
like if I see something, I make it happen. Like I'm going to do it. And I don't want people to tell me how to do it
Right.
or what direction to go. And I've had to, and now in a lot of ways, thankfully, because leadership is glorified by the word, but it's tough, man. It's difficult.
Mhm.
And life is considerably easier when you're not leading someone that is earning their dollars because of how you're leading them.
Yeah.
Because now I lead in a different way. Like the classroom is obviously leadership, but I get to do it from a human growth perspective, which is always fun.
Yeah.
But the dollars and cents side of leadership, I learned that sometimes people wanted more than I was giving them of like direction
Right.
because I just put myself in their shoes. I was like, I wouldn't want me come and tell me how to do my job, so I'm not going to do it. But that was something I had to learn throughout the years, man. And that's a tough, you really have to understand individual human perception and wants and needs to try to meet those needs effectively because the next person down the line would be like, okay, get out of my hair. I don't want to hear what you have to
Mhm.
say about that, you know?
And you're exactly right. Okay. And people always we were talking about it before. Like, obviously, you got Meat Eater back there. I have that same book.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Marcus Aurelius, 100%, right? Everybody knows that. Not say everybody, but I mean, they're kind of good staples, especially for the, cookbook. You know
Yeah,
what I
dude.
mean? But people ask me, like, what's a good business book to read? Okay. I love Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. I don't know if you've
Okay.
ever read it. Okay.
No,
So
I
it
haven't.
actually describes exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
So you have visionaries, okay, which is normally your entrepreneur. And when you look at organization, one's not better than the other. And I love to take like the example of my father, the diesel mechanic. And if my dad had opened up his own diesel shop, my dad would have went and worked on every single truck instead
yeah.
of running and having a vision and being what they call up and out of looking where the business will go
Mm-hmm.
versus being down and in. And you need all of that. Okay. So this is where I think when people get, even an artist, like, so Jake is up and out of a visionary instead of being down and in and tinkering and stuff. Okay. And this is where I think a lot of small businesses fail, because I do think people fail because they think they need to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at leadership, I am also the guy that lets people figure it out. But I also have the circle around it, and I know it.
Like the guardrails you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Not even the guardrails. That's not, I mean, and it's funny, like, you being a professor, and teaching, right? And I look at school system. I love teachers, and I love all that, but I don't like our education system.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's bad, because there's awesome teachers that are out there, and there's awful professors that are out there.
100%.
And because they're just, and that's not mean that professors are a bad thing, or it's just kind of like when you're a fish in the water, you don't even know you're in the water.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you know. Okay. I read a book, so now I read a book on leadership, so I know how to lead. I had a professor tell that to one of my military buddies. Okay. Nice lady, whatever, we ran into her, and one of my military buddies was there, and I said, yeah, this is my friend. And my friend Will just laughed at it, because he's a longtime military guy. And he has employees of 300. He's in the guards now, like even after his service. And I said, yeah, my friend Will's in the military. And she's like, oh, I read a book on leadership one time, and I disagree with the military's leadership style. And she's a sweet lady, right? But she just doesn't know. She read a book.
Yeah.
What's the actual push, right? But where I'm going with that is, school kind of sets you up as not wanting you to make mistakes or just memorize something to get a grade.
To be a good little soldier.
And to move on. Okay. You being a professor of marketing is a little bit different. You can be more probably more free and more open-minded thinking and more up north Jake. Let's call it that, right? Because I never had a conversation with Jake, but I'm sure he probably, if I had to, look at somebody and like have my own persona, he probably wasn't sitting in the front row raising his hand trying to get an A. He was thinking, I want to go out and make some music, which is awesome, right?
Yeah.
So when I look at leadership, it's like, I want people to make mistakes, okay? So I stole something from Ray Dalio, where you read books and you look at all these things and a lot of my managers will know this. It's like, if you have a problem, before you bring a problem to me, you have to have 3 solutions to that problem that you're having.
Sure, yeah.
Because now you're thinking about it.
Yep.
Okay? And then when you bring the problem to me, that may not be 3 of the solutions, but we can look at things and come up with the best possible way that we can go. And I want them to make the mistakes, as long as it's not like literally like pulling the whole company down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I encourage people to make those decisions. And then me, let's just say, as the quote unquote owner, like, I have opening reports and I have closing reports, and it's 1 page, it's on a PDF that I can open on my stupid cell phone if I'm sitting here with you doing a podcast. Doesn't mean that I'm the cool guy, because all the way driving from Madison up here, I'm thinking about where things are going to go with the company in the future. Where's our insurance? Because insurance is our number 1 risk.
Yes, yeah, I would guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you look at it, it's like, it's not people ordering off of Amazon. It's controlling those costs.
It's probably your highest cost outside of human capital, right?
100%.
Insurance, yeah.
But I can look at, like, okay, I have Mark, who is I trust him. He's the longest guy that I've known that's on our staff, and he's semi-retired. He owned his own business, but he and I've traveled the world and did Ironmans together. He showed up every day for riding. He never missed a day, never missed a workout. And he's our safety and quality manager. Plus, he's got a great personality that he can talk. He's 60-some years old, but he's more youthful than the 20-year-olds that are driving the vans out there, but he relates to them, but he knows like the safety parameters that he puts in place, where like Callie that's up here with us, right? And she saw today, or where like I get a text message anytime anybody's speeding, and then I can see their name.
Really?
100%.
Nice.
I mean, the safety of this is like, gone. It's awesome. This is where technology is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
But that is a controllable that we can show our insurance companies about how we're trying to be proactive to decrease our chances of a catastrophic event.
Right.
Which is always possible today. God forbid that it doesn't happen, but it's a possibility, right? Hunting, bear hunting in Alberta, like I'm sitting there on the ground and we're bear hunting, right? It's a possibility that, or spearfishing. Now, this isn't trying to be a cool guy that I was just doing in Mexico a couple of weeks ago. There's mako sharks everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hunting, there's a chance you're hunted too.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, right?
Yeah.
But to go into the leadership thing, I am the guy that's more laissez-faire, like what you're talking, but there is parameters that are around it. But that's kind of a culture that we built, where even like Corey is one of our managers, where a new manager may come in and be like, I got to call Travis. And my phone's always available, but I never answer on the first call.
But use it at the right time, yeah.
But so they all figured it out. Now they just kind of know it. But if Dan calls me, who's our general manager, I know it's like I'm picking the phone up instantly. You know what I mean? Or Mark too, right? And
that structure makes sense, dude, because that's a very common miss when you leapfrog levels of leadership with different people. Like, you have to have that in place. You have to say, okay, when shit hits the fan and my phone rings, if it's this guy, this is the one I'm going to call. So
Yeah.
run it. And that's got to be a person like the dudes that you have faith in,
Yeah.
you know?
But then they build their own locker room.
Right.
And I don't want to be the head coach policing their locker room.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
that creates even a culture of a winning team. Trust me, I know what floats through there. Like, I hear some stuff, but I don't care.
Yeah.
But if I'm walking out there and someone's like, hey, my Paycom's not working, I don't even know how to log into it. I'm sorry. It doesn't, whatever, if you want to label me as the boss or what, I mean, we have, we were driving up here and we actually didn't deliver in Milwaukee today because down there, the air quality is way worse.
It's so bad, dude.
Yeah. And which is kind of crazy, like up here in Green Bay.
Really, the air quality stopped you from delivering today.
So this is where how Amazon's the one who actually put the safety over it, right?
Okay.
So this is where you always hear press, big Amazon, big bad people, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Dude, this isn't because they're my number one customer, but because I'm a vendor to them. But dude, they are the best to work with. They're the ones that have meetings. They look at the air quality. They look at, what's out there, and they just delayed it till tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't our call. They're just like, hey, you guys comfortable with this? We'll set this up. We'll help, pay for people for the day. And it's just, because the air quality is way worse in Milwaukee. From the fire, it's from the fires coming down, right?
Yeah.
But that's just, thing of looking at everybody's like, oh, big bad Amazon, dude. But no, they're don't get me wrong. Like we work, the routes can get over, you know what I mean? We're out there every day, delivering on, holidays and, things like that. Trust me, there's things, but that's work, right? That kind of comes along with it. But when you look at something like that, they will safety wise be like, hey, let's just push it to tomorrow and let the air quality.
Yeah. That's interesting, man. But that's a human nature thing to paint Goliath as the predator or the opponent, right? It's really easy. There's a reason we all love a small homegrown business, human nature has an affinity to that, and we're drawn to it. And it's easy to paint the Goliath as
and that's exactly what you're talking about, the leadership thing. It's and
it's easy to paint Travis Hasse as the boss.
Yeah. Take go back to taverns, how we started talking about Wisconsin. I'm with you of hanging the hat on about being drunks and all that other stuff. But the cool thing is about the history of taverns, Revolutionary War started in a tavern. As it got spread with the word, ride the horse out. You know what I mean? Like all that. And that's, taverns used to be that congregation place, right? It wasn't ripping Jameson until we puke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the old school tide houses that we were talking about back. And they were just where people got together. It wasn't, let's just drink till we puke. And it kind of got different, right? Because it was kind of funny, but when I started traveling the country selling alcohol, I thought everybody drank like Wisconsinites, and it wasn't like that.
Not even close.
You know what I mean? And that shift is changing, you know what I mean? A little bit, That's just cool. You're seeing younger dudes and this as being into hunting. You know what I mean? Actually, dude, I got something cool for you.
Ooh, lay it on me. Out of the Kafaru backpack, too. I noticed that when you came in.
So I'm buddies with, Brandon that owns Montana Knife Company.
Oh, dude. Super cool.
So check that out. I mean, I know you get, it open the side. It just flips open on you. There you go.
I saw in a couple of your videos you were wearing a Montana Knife Company hat.
And they don't give me these, okay? So this isn't some sponsored thing. I actually purchase them myself to give away just to support them. Because they're a great American company, right? It's, Josh Smith
know a ton about them.
Josh Smith is a guy that when he was a kid, he learned how to make knives through older guys. He learned a craft and he became a master bladesmith, right? Okay. But he was a electrical lineman working on power lines, right? So don't cut yourself. That thing's sharp. If you want me to teach you how to use that. So that's in the sheath, and I'll show you the easiest way to pop that.
Yeah.
Right? So I always just pop it from the back, knowing where the sheath is, right? So this is their mini speed goats, okay? All handmade in Missoula, Montana. All hand wrapped, hand sharpened. But the cool thing is that they actually build these blades, especially you understand this in the hunting community, right? They build these as generational knives.
So hand down,
100%. Yeah. Okay. So even in there, you can see it's who the gentleman was, or who, not even gentleman, but underneath there's more paperwork of who sharpened it, who worked on it, who packed it.
Really?
But you can send this back into them and they'll hand sharpen it. They'll sharpen it for free.
Really?
Yeah. So you just, you get a hold of them on their
they
website.
Sign it with a pen.
Dude, totally right. And so they want these to, they've got that good, like all American made. Everything is made there. Like they just made their first folding knife.
Okay.
And they've got a great following if you can buy them. Okay. Because like I was bear hunting with Brandon in Alberta with Johnny and Jen Rivet up in at the Rivets up in Alberta. We were black bear hunting, and just sitting with those guys and hanging out with them and just hearing his story, because he's one of the co-founders with Josh Smith.
Okay.
And Josh was the master bladesmith, and then Brandon was the marketing guy. And even this, like you give this knife to your son someday, they'll still sharpen it for free generations down the road. So they want these things always be handed down. But the nice thing is, I know you trout fish a lot. That's why I picked this model.
It's the perfect. That's the first thing I thought about when I
put it on your
open.
pack, like put the blade away from your neck.
Yeah.
Okay. I just know it sounds dumb, but you catch it like it's like your finger on a trigger, right?
Yeah.
It's set it up. I know that you can move that on the sheath. I always pull it from the side. You can actually adjust the sheath from holding it inside. Or you can everyday carry it too.
Yeah.
It's small enough. So
that's awesome, dude. I appreciate you.
But yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, they've got some good stuff. I mean, definitely great for trout fishing. But you can see these are just some of my personal knives that I use, just because I know you're into hunting.
Yeah, that's the next place our conversation is going today for sure, is the outdoors.
But talking about entrepreneurism, right? I mean, they've got over 100 employees already. I think they're 6 years old.
Damn.
I think.
Nice.
So I'm sorry if I if I hit that the wrong way. But so this is one of they call it the Pack Out Skinner. Cool thing is, this is one of Cam Haynes's knives. He designed this.
Cool.
You know what I mean? So I actually, with Cam and Brandon and Johnny Rivet, and then my buddy Ruben, he's at Vortex.
Okay.
And there would be James Williams is Cam's camera guy, and then there's another guy, Riley, who shoots for Brandon for Montana Knife Company.
Okay.
They do some cool content, but I actually use this skin in my black bear.
To skin your bear?
That I shot out there. But this is just, it's kind of just like the look at the belly of the knife.
This looks like it was ripe for a gut hook, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's great. But even Johnny Rivet, who, if you don't know who John Rivet is and Jen Rivet, they run one of the best bear camps in the world. They're awesome people, great people of faith. Talk about not drinking. Like, they don't drink. Like, you stay in their house. Like, you know what I mean? And like,
yeah,
there's always a prayer for dinner. I mean, there's always gratitude, family people. Like, it's just good culture, right?
Yeah.
But I think he has this same Skinner, and he was on bear number 10, and it still had a great edge on it.
Nice.
I mean, just looking at the belly of it, just for skinning and everything. So definitely Josh and Cam, designed like a good knife. Plus it's light, especially, Cam's obviously always elk hunting, he's always packing. So
yeah,
being light there. But for our Midwest guys, this is their whitetail.
Okay.
I mean, just looking at it for whitetail, you got the guard here, so your hand's not pushing up when you're working inside the cavity and
it's like
everything.
The perfect size blade for a whitetail.
Yeah, totally
Yeah.
right. So these are just the two that I actually carry hunting wise. You know what I mean? Just because of the avenues. So I don't know. I thought you thought it'd be cool, but
Yeah,
I figured, knowing that you like to trout fish and everything, that
this is perfect.
It's
And you know what's
simple.
hilarious, dude, is I didn't until now have a good trout knife. I always cobbled together. The last thing I used was this folding kind of pocket style knife that it was hard as hell to clean after I cleaned some trout. Like, it was just kind of one of those things that there was all these little crevices I couldn't get into. So this is going to work perfect, man.
Even the paracord on there, you get into a bind in a situation. I mean, you just You
Yeah.
just have it with you. So,
Yeah, dude.
but yeah, man. So carry that with you.
Appreciate
So,
you.
Yeah, dude.
Let's talk about the outdoors a little bit. One thing I was actually, we got to talking pretty quick. I was going to bring this up to start the episode, but spearfishing. You're the
best.
Oh, dude, you're the second person I've had on that's a spear fisherman. The first one is a guy named Rex. Funny, he's an entrepreneur. I don't know if there's correlation between that mindset and being a spear fisherman.
Well, I think it's the freedom to be able to do something.
I think so too.
And I'm not going to call it freedom. It's I just think it's the time that you can allocate, right? And
sure, time that you can allocate, and just the willingness to do something that's a little bit uncomfortable that you're going to have to learn things about. Because I remember in that conversation, I was really intrigued by it because he does it here. Like he spearfishes perch in Lake Michigan. And that really piqued my interest in talking about it. So how did you
he's spear gun.
Spear gun, yeah.
Is that what, he's using spear guns there? Yeah. Or is he hand spear?
I don't know. I don't know.
People bow fishing, right? So I was at Whale Tails. I don't know if you know Whale Tails Archery down in Dousman. Like those guys are great. Younger dudes. Like that's where that's my local archery shop.
Okay.
And so I was there yesterday.
Okay.
Actually, we hung an arrow that Cam used on a black bear.
I saw your social media post. That was awesome. That little plaque.
And that black bear is going in Rogan's studio.
Nice.
Mounted full body mount.
Really?
Yeah, which would be cool.
Super cool.
So
yeah. So where did that start for you? Like when did you start spearfishing?
It's that is from my good friend Jimmy May, who's a 22-year retired Navy SEAL operator. Okay. And so Jimmy lives in San Diego, obviously. And that's just something that those San Diego boys did. And when him and I met, he's like, hey, teach me how to elk hunt and I'll teach you how to spearfish.
Okay.
And he's taught me how to spearfish, and we have not been able to draw a tag together, so I could teach him how to.
Nice.
Oh, but he's fully outfitted. You know what I mean?
Ready to go when he gets it.
Yeah, and he got a gun. He got a gun tag, and our buddy Jeff took him out last year, which is cool for the first time. They didn't harvest one. You know what I mean? But he wants to archery elk hunt, right? So, and we'll get there. We didn't hit it this year either. So we put in for 2 years in a row, right?
Yeah.
So I've gone spear fishing with him now, gosh, what is it, 4 times? And so we were down in the Sea of Cortez, okay? And Jimmy being very comfortable in the water. We spoke a little bit before, like with me and Mark. It's not trying to be a cool guy, but I've done multiple Ironman, so I'm comfortable in the water, breath hold. And, I do like some hypoxic training, which is holding your breath, like even like on an assault bike, where like I'll do intervals where you're actually holding your breath just so you can get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Because I'll dive like 30 to 35 feet, but Jimmy will go 60, 70 feet, no tanks.
Damn.
It's all free breath hold. But what I like about it is he's taught me the safety aspects of it first. And I'm talking kindergarten crawling, no guns, no whatever. Put your wetsuit on, get your snorkel, get your fins, and we're going to go in 5 feet of water. And we're going to grab the weight belt and float on the water, float to down. And then it's like everything, right? It's like if you're going to run an Ironman, one of the best things to do is get fitted for your bike. And you're just comfortable in it. And then you just move it out into the sea. But he did, the first time actually I went with them, he did throw me to the wolves where we went bluefin tuna, which is, we're in 3,000 feet of water. He was like, oh, I know you can swim. Let's get out there. And like my weight belt was kind of a little jacked up at that time, but it's like, it's a little bit different. Like when you're in 80 feet of water and you can see the bottom in the Sea of Cortez. Versus being in 3,000 feet of water off the coast of San Diego out in the middle of nowhere. And you're diving in and you look down and it's just the abyss. Because once you get to a certain depth, like 25 to 30 feet, like you're definitely negative buoyant and you just keep sinking.
Really?
Just because of pressure.
Okay. That makes sense.
And then if you gas out, right, that's the buddy system of safety of watching each other. And that's just where Jimmy, like the number one thing was safety. You know what I mean? Like everything, like trigger control, even, muzzle, watching your muzzle in a gun, know your target and beyond, all that relays over into even like the spear guns we use. And they're 5.5 feet long with 3 big power bands that are on them. Like Jimmy calls them man bands because they're hard to load.
Mhm.
Like, you put the gun in your breast and you think about the spear gun, you put a metal spear shaft down the middle, and then you're reaching out and you're pulling these bands and that gun's in your chest and you load it onto the trigger. Then you got to pull 2 more. And the last one is the hardest to pull.
Okay.
Right. So you got 3 big bands are on these, and these, like, they whip, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And, but yeah, so it's literally, if you could I wouldn't call it bow hunting under the water, but it's more crossbow hunting under the water, just because you're
Yep.
not pulling back a bow.
Well, that's
right?
what I pictured when you were cocking it there. It's similar to like cocking a
But
crossbow
you're
with the
cranking
hand.
crossbows and stuff, but you're in the water. You got lines all over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The current's taking your lines everywhere. It's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so safety aspect wise, what we do is, like, if I'm on the top of the water and Jimmy's diving, I mean, he'll be in the water 2.5 minutes. But buddy system wise, I'm on the top and I'm keeping up with them as let's say we work like rock formations or a rock reef down, and a lot of your cabria, grouper, yellowfin tuna, or not yellow tails, not yellowfin tunas, but yellowtail will be floating, triggerfish, sheephead, all kind of like game fish that you hunt. And you literally dive down and you on the side of the rocks, and you get to the bottom of the seafloor, and you just kind of float in the bottom with your gun, and you just literally try to get around rocks and stuff, and you spear fish.
That's
and
pretty
then
badass, dude.
it's rad, right? But
Yeah.
it's but when you come back up, and then your buddy system is like, I look you in the eyes because I'm following you, right? And when you look me in the eyes that you're okay, then I, do my breath work,
To
'cause
prepare
you
to go down.
prepare to go
Yeah.
down. Then I dive 35 feet, do the same thing, and we start crawling, around. And if we get one, right, you swim back to the boat. Captain helps you take it off, puts it in. We take a big fish bag. But yeah, dude, I brought back like 110 pounds worth of fresh fish.
That's cool as hell.
But then it's, for my wife and I would say 85% of what we eat, I've harvested in the wild,
Okay.
like all year round,
Yep.
of fish, elk, bear, or she'll be like, last year, it's just like only whitetail this year, honey. You got to work a little harder when you
Yeah.
go back out elk
Oh,
hunting, right?
well, that's a terrible arm to have to
Oh,
twist,
dude,
right?
totally. But like the black bear, I mean, I just brought that back when I was with Cam, Cam and I, and like I said, my friend Ruben that works at Vortex, and we went up there and brought back black bear, and obviously ground black bear, dude, is awesome.
Oh, yeah. There was a time in U.S. history when black bear was the preferred food.
Yeah.
Over whitetails or anything.
They would just take the whitetails for the hides,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't even eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bear is good, man.
Yeah.
Bear is good. Do you bear hunt quite a bit, or?
Especially there.
Okay.
Now think about this, right? It's because they're just not eating all kinds of garbage, getting into garbage around here.
Yeah.
And not say the bear here is bad. That's not
Yeah.
what I mean. But it's like, especially because my wife is just she wants it as organic as possible.
Mhm.
Nothing added to it.
We try
And,
to do that too. Yeah.
from there. But that was the first black bear hunt I went on,
Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
And what a great way to kind of start that out.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never even, I may have put in for points a couple years, but I've never like
Here in
truly
Wisconsin,
tried.
I think I got like 15 preference points.
Yeah.
I just never put in for it.
Yeah.
I just always had something else that kind of came up. I was actually just talking about this last night with my friend Brad that I was, calling me Hollywood and shit fishing with.
Yeah.
I was coming home from golf league last night. It's like, oh, I got like 5 preference points. I like that berry shot. So I'm like, yeah, dude, let's put in together. And
Nice.
I've got like 15, so I'll get one.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. It's not something I've ever done. My pops had a tag 4 years ago or something. And I got a buddy up where I used to work. I used to live in the UP for a while, and he walked me through his process of what he does. It's really intricate about, like, no matter what he had going on that day, he would bait bears before dark in the morning every day and get like you're feeding your dog, right? Like,
Yeah.
so they hear the dinner bell. And then his whole thing was that you drive the same vehicle in there, you bait him, but then he has someone drop him off, or he guides some people too. So if
Yeah.
he's doing the guide, they drop the people off in the same vehicle and then they leave, but they're still there. And then
Dinner's
the bear comes,
coming.
trounces in. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it sounds fun to me. It's just nothing that I've gotten into.
Yeah, it's like ground blind hunting or something for whitetail.
Yeah.
I got, like I said, you can hunt them with dogs too. What people are doing, that's awesome. Right? Whatever. I'm just not like I'm not going to go chase a cat in Colorado with dogs.
Yeah.
It's
not
just
my thing, yeah.
to me, it's just not my thing.
Yep.
It's not bad. Let people do what they want, whatever
yeah.
to be successful, right? It just
Well, it's
to me to watch a
necessary,
remote,
dude.
yeah.
It's
But exactly what you're saying. Like, you got to harvest some of these animals just for.
Yeah, you had to. I was just watching a YouTube video the other day. I can't remember when it happened, but a lady got eaten by a mountain lion in Colorado.
Yeah.
And like the infighting in the outdoors is a weird thing just in general. Like, I do this my way. Like, so I switched from a vertical bow to a compound bow, or to a crossbow 5 years ago, or
Yep.
something like that. And a couple of my buddies, like vertical bow, like enthusiasts, right? They're like, oh, crossbow, blah, blah, blah.
They're compound hunting.
Yeah. They're compound hunting. Yeah. And it, to me, the difference is negligible, but whatever. I just made the decision for a couple different reasons.
Yeah.
But the infighting within the outdoors is strange. But I feel the same.
Yeah, but then it's like, okay, dude, go be a traditionalist and make your own bows, make your own arrowheads.
Exactly. Who draws the damn
Trust
line?
me, my bow pulling at 80 pounds. I have a Matthews arc, right? I'm one of those guys that love the Wisconsin brands.
Yeah.
And I had a Hoyt there for a little bit, but like Vortex, I love them. They're great. I mean, I don't know if you saw them. My truck has Vortex all over. It's great.
Nice.
I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, but I love supporting like Montana Knife just because they're good guys.
Yeah.
Right. And like my buddy Ruben, he's one of the top 5 shooters in the world, and he does like training for Vortex. If you've never been there, dude, like they are.
I haven't. No.
Dude, Vortex is that same type of company, that same type of mentality. It's like you have the staples of Wisconsin, obviously, rooted Wisconsin, right? But like Culver's, Quick Trip, you have Vortex in your backyard, you have Matthews in your backyard. So I really always, try to, run, support them.
St. Croix.
There you go. 100%, dude, right? Yeah. There you go. I'm sorry I missed one.
Yeah.
And they're just all solid companies, and just solid people. Like the Vortex people and their warranties and their VIP warranty. I fell in love with those guys. It's like, even when you go out there, like, you have like your customer service staff, that their warranties that they're working on. There's 4 people inside, kind of like an office like this, right? But there's 4 separate people, and there's normally 2 or 4 dogs that are sitting on their floors. Like they're all bird dogs, and they have dog runs, they have a natural preserve, and like Shamish over there, he's been there for years. It's a pretty cool story with the Mr. Hamilton, when he started that company and the VIP warranty, and it used to be called Eagle Optics, and now it's Vortex, and it's awesome. There's good people.
We had a cool conversation about that on the last guest's episode about like what Wisconsin culture means, and his was in the music industry, but he translated it to, like, he noticed when he moved down south that he had to do, like, with his band members, he had to do more like pushing to get people to work, whereas like we're kind of just like humble tryhards in Wisconsin, like we don't like to self-advocate, but we're going to bust our ass. We're uncomfortable self-promoting.
Like
but
Ryan Groy. He's a grown kid from Middleton, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And still, but will outwork anyone. And that was one of his frustrations, actually, is that he didn't, he kind of took that for granted of the work ethic compared to the not really the self-promotion, but you could bring it to that instance in this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But spearfishing, to get back to that.
Yeah.
You got to do it. I'll take you sometime. You want to learn, man.
I would love to.
Trust me, it's cool.
I would love to. I think it's so cool. It's funny because I had that episode. That was probably 2 years ago now when I had him on the podcast, a buddy of mine. And now my kid's favorite episode of Meat Eater is the one where they go spearfishing in Hawaii with that badass lady.
Is that Valentina, whatever her name is?
I can't remember her name.
Yeah. Because they free dive they had to free
They
dive
were
for
free
spear.
diving, yeah. And they used two different kinds. They started with the band ones that kind of remind me of like a wrist rocket, but big, obviously. And then they moved to like the gun style ones.
Yeah.
It is a cool episode, and they make some good ass. They always make good looking food
Yeah.
on there, but I don't know. I like trying different wild things. Like obviously one of my first like introductions to to hunting was Wisconsin style whitetail hunting.
Yeah.
Sitting in a stand, you walk, a couple thousand yards to your stand, whatever, and you sit there all
Get
day.
up early in the morning.
Get up early in the morning.
Opposite of elk hunting.
Opposite, yeah. I even though I haven't been elk hunting yet, that's another thing on my list. That's a little tougher for me because once fall starts, my schedule's a little bit weird. Like it's easy to catch a day to go out to my deer stand. It's a little bit harder to get a week and a half.
But you kind of touched on that too. It's like, why do entrepreneurs do it? I think that because they can adjust their schedule, make the time.
For sure.
But, if we were talking books too, it's, Michael Easter has his Comfort Crisis book.
Okay.
Awesome. You know who Donnie Vincent is?
No.
So Michael Easter was a Hollywood writer, journalist. Okay. So in the outdoor industry too, right? It's like, obviously Cam's well known, Ranella, all these guys. It's cool, like, because Ranella's the first guy that took Rogan hunting, okay, which then's kind of turned into, which I think is a pretty good move to more fitness, more uncomfortableness is kind of where I'm going with this, right?
Okay.
Kind of maybe getting some of these younger guys back into doing things that are hard.
Yep.
And Michael Easter goes out and he has a book called The Comfort Crisis. And he went out with Donnie Vincent, who's biologist, but he's become a well-known guy that has great filming for hunting, etc. Right? So Michael goes with Donnie up in Alaska, and I think they were going for a month. And it wasn't, they're going caribou hunting, and it was, hey, we're not eating until we harvest something. And Michael came out of LA, no guns, no experience, never been hunting. And, Donnie's a traditional kind of more guy. He's more of your longbow type guy, you know what I mean? And awesome biologist. That's what he's really known for. But I think I don't know if he's truly from Illinois. I don't know where he's originally from, but whitetail hunts, it's always turkey hunting. But Michael Easter talks about, he truly believes, which I do too, that we're so comfortable in the U.S. that don't get me wrong, we all struggle, but your mind is automatically going to find something to struggle with.
Oh, for sure.
Because we can DoorDash food to your home, right? A lot of people look down upon hunters because you're harvesting an animal, but yet they go and eat steak at the restaurant. Yeah. Okay. As I think Cam calls them that they hire assassins for them and he'll do his own work. You know what I mean? Where he gets people, I mean, he takes a brunt and but it's true, right? And, looking at the guys like Cam I think it's good for the young guys to actually see that of like actually going out and putting yourself into an uncomfortable situation, just like entrepreneurism, right? It's uncomfortable to walk away from that 9-to-5 job or that check, or let's call it banker's hours, or what's my pension, and all this mindset that I think that we've gone to, and AI and all the technology is really going to change everything. And you see a different group of the up north Jake guys that are finding a different way to make a living. You know what I mean? They're on their own. There's struggle to it. Don't get me wrong. And, everybody always wants to talk about the struggle. I came from nothing and all that's cool. It's romanticized, but in all reality, it's just a way that it always used to be. Like you always had to go out there and just hunt. There's boredom. Boredom is there for a reason, so you weren't still picking the berries off the bush that has no berries on it. Like God put that into you, right? You're seeing a lot more, younger guys coming back to faith. You know what I mean? And you're really starting to see a lot of that change, as we were kind of talking about the baby boomer comfort and consumerism, where now there's a little bit more uncomfortableness. And now you're really starting to see a lot of people more step up their game, take care of themselves healthy-wise, friendship-wise, family-wise, faith-wise, younger guys and gals too, right? You got like Hannah out there doing cool things, hunting, and there's great for the female too, right? But just that the book, The Comfort Crisis, he really talks about, he believes that the world is so comfortable, your mind is automatically going to find these crises to be in. Depression, drugs, alcohol, like we talk about, what, hungover, laying on the couch, what can I put myself that's actually, that's in that crisis mode versus, because he really writes on it. He's like, I'm here for 2 weeks and I'm been alone by myself all day. Donnie's out hunting caribou on this side of the mountain and I'm by myself and I'm in nothing but my own thought.
Yeah, dude.
And how do I be alone?
It's the best
And
place
how
to
do I
be.
solve problems? And then it came down to harvest a caribou and he's never pulled the trigger before.
Yeah.
And Donnie's like, are you sure you can do this? He goes, because Donnie wasn't going to shoot. He's like, well, that's what we're going to eat. And we're hungry. Are you going to shoot it? You know what I mean? So, but he's really done a really good job of, he's been on Rogan, actually.
Okay.
He's written a second book. He works out every day, ruck pack every day, food wise. So he's really changed like his perspective and now is putting himself into uncomfortable situations because your mind is always wanting to find that crises to solve. That's just human nature of how we're made.
100%. And I think most outdoors people know that. I think we understand that, right? Like I talked about it a copious amount of times where I yearn for the wilderness. I yearn for the uncomfort that comes with it because of that. Because that concept is spot on of the comfort leading you to being able to say like, oh, this sucks, but hey, does it really suck? Or I mentioned that a couple of podcast episodes ago, like take away indoor plumbing and then see what kind of stuff sucks,
Yeah.
And I think
lose electricity around here.
Seriously.
Lose your freezer.
Yeah. And like I think there's going to be an interesting divergence actually that we can call back to when we were talking about education earlier, because you're right. You identified it really well earlier that I'm in a really favorable position that I have virtually complete autonomy over my curriculum. Like I teach what I know is relevant because I'm a career marketer and I get to just do that. Whereas like nuancing towards the K-12 space, it's a lot different. I had a K-12 teacher on recently and it was a breath of fresh air talking to him. But at the same time, that system's been built to like create good little working soldiers, the education system as we know it.
Factory workers.
Exactly. Yes. Someone that can follow a direction, someone that can be reliable and show up, and somebody that can kind of A plus B equals C. But don't get too far outside of that. And it's interesting because even as a parent, I'm raising my son to be a curious problem solver, to not take it for granted what somebody tells him. And I was joking recently that I got to think about that in a little bit different way now because it's worked too well. Like he is pushing back in all the right places and it's great. But with AI and the growth of AI, we're going to see a very similar divergence of people who lean on it because of its efficacy. And it ends up working really well and they can coast and do things. But the value is going to be of the person who is the curious problem solver. It's not going to be what you know anymore. It's going to be how quickly can you learn something and then make it happen. And that's curiosity. It's problem solving. And me and my two colleagues who get to control our curriculum, like we had awesome conversations about that last year about sure, we can teach the underlying principles of marketing, but what's going to truly matter are these other things. So we rewrote our entire curriculum to more satisfy is not the right word, but to more create and breed curiosity and problem solving and the willingness and ability to use the tools to your advantage to do something that matters. And I think that equates directly to this comfort thing because it's comfortable to plug something into AI, make it copy and paste it so it reads like a human, and then use it. But that's the first step, dude. And it's just like being an outdoorsman. Like, and I think a lot of Wisconsin whitetail hunters, although there is some uncomfort with that, sitting in a cold blind, you got to stay warm. There is another layer of that adventurousness or that like scariness when you do something else and see what else exists? Diving 30 feet, spearfishing. I had a chance to go blacktail hunting on Kodiak.
That's cool.
We were there. It was cool as
Yeah.
hell. You want to talk about Uncomfort? We actually got
With
lucky.
brown bear.
Dude, it was huge. We had this crazy thing. I can't remember if I told this story on the podcast or not, but on the first day of the hunt, I was with my cousin. My uncle had stayed back because my cousin lives in Alaska, and he knows a guy that has like it's a cabin. It's a spot that you can sleep in one of the bays.
The best kind.
Yeah, it was great.
You're shitting outside.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But we had to climb, 1,500 feet. And my uncle, even though he's in great shape, he's recently retired. He's getting up in age. He wanted to conserve his energy, and we were going to end up spike camping the rest of the trip.
Yeah. But
we wanted to do one trip up and down. Well, my cousin and I did that. We were lucky enough to get a buck first day. Gutted it, packed it down the mountain. Then my uncle came the next time, and we ended up spike camping for a few days up in the mountains, so we didn't have to come up and down. Got a few more deer. And on the way down, we went through where our first carcass was, and it was right out in the open where he had shot
Whitetail mistake number one.
Oh, dude, yeah. And I don't think we even realized it because, like, we knew where the waypoint was, but we were down in this thick ass alder brush that was away from where he shot it. But a grizzly had dragged the carcass down into this alder brush, and it was half eaten, dude. And my cousin's a pretty gnarly dude. He's a big goat hunter. He likes doing some pretty wild shit. And when I saw him kind of like perk up and start talking really loud, like that was a different kind of scared.
Spidey senses were going on.
Yeah. Different kind of scared than I've had, with a black bear and a couple cubs walking by or something, which is probably one of the scariest things we're going to see here. Maybe a pack of wolves, but wolves I'm not really scared of in that way. It changes your perception, and it's just like life, dude. It's where are the limits of where you're going to push yourself? And actually, we could probably talk about that doing Ironmans. That's mental, the same space. Where are you going to push yourself? Where are you willing to? And then where does your brain reset to afterwards, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And even me, right? Elk hunting in Idaho. Me and two buddies, and like out there too, there's BLM land, public land, right? But like cattle ranchers can pay $15 a head just to let their cattle roam on BLM land.
Yeah.
Okay. In Idaho. And so the cattle actually make paths throughout this public land, right? So we're chasing some bugles. And of course, what do? We're humping the cattle tracks through the woods because it's a path of least resistance, right?
Yeah.
So we're following a bugle. We got one. We're just, we're kind of moving. We walk right into this aspen brush. You know what I mean? It's kind of like birch trees, but it's like small little brush. And it literally sounded like 5 Rottweilers just coming at you instantly. And we're 3 amigos. I'm the middle guy. Clint in the front actually had a 10 millimeter on him, right? And this grizz we're in Bear Canyon by Island Park, right? In Idaho. It's called Bear Canyon for a reason, right? And he was 2 feet, false charged us. And I'm, right on Clint's butt because he stopped and he had a 10 millimeter on his hip and he didn't even get his hand to his side.
Damn,
and
really?
Like I'm talking we walked right into his bear den. Like he had kill piles. Like there was an elk antler. You could see other places where he had buried shit. We walked right into his home. Not really. We're on the elk, the bugle. Like hey, dude, this bugle, this freaking elk's, he's ready to roll. Let's get up to him. And so that was interesting. And I just thank God that, if that was a sow and cubs, it could have been a whole different story.
Yeah.
From that standpoint. But yeah, that was, 2 to 3 feet, false charge. Came right at us and just took off. And it happened so fast, your heart rate doesn't even move.
Yeah, you didn't have time.
You didn't
so
have
he
time.
didn't even have time to draw his weapon?
No. Gosh, no. I mean, it was like that.
Insane.
Yeah, just walked right into the brush.
Yeah.
Right through the on the BLM land, right through the cattle trail. And it's interesting, right? And you think about it too, and it's like, hey, we talked about like the danger. What if a mako shark? Here's another example is spearfishing. So I know there's makos all around us. And so I was, down like 30, 35 feet. And and I actually think Eli's got this on film, or Eli's a young guy that came with us and he films everything. It's fun. Jimmy May, like the operator, Navy SEAL, he runs Mayday Executive now. And then he started Beyond the Brotherhood, where we actually raise money to help transition former operators that retire from the SEALs into a Montana knife company, let's say.
Oh, no way.
And the Navy helps us fund part of their salary, and then we raise money from donors that pays for their salaries. But we don't want, hey, I got a Navy SEAL that works for us. No, we
Right.
want people to bring them in, learn real skills, learn how to machine, learn, you know what I mean? Because you're getting a solid person, solid discipline, but a lot of those guys
just need to
don't know
transition the
that
skills to
transition
the
into
civilian.
civilianhood.
Yeah.
It's a mindset thing,
Oh, yeah.
right? And a lot of them guys commit suicide because they don't know how to handle it. Athletes that retire, like college athletes, or let's just say it's like, we're on training table, we're on practice, like everything is lined up for you.
It's the feeling you had in Florida, dude.
It's, what do I do? Like you
Mhm.
lose the identity, you lose the ego. So Beyond the Brotherhood's awesome. And that's, so I do a lot, Jimmy started that organization. Like Jocko Wilkes is on the board. Jimmy, like Jocko was actually Jimmy's commander when he was leading Ramadi.
Okay.
Jimmy is awesome. Yeah, but done some, great things for the United States or whatever, but saved a lot of people. Awesome leader, right? And just that uncomfortableness. But so Jimmy's like, hey, we got these mako sharks that are here. And I remember I was coming up, I was like, 30 feet. And I was just coming up, let's say I was up 15 feet off the floor. And I just kind of turned over my side and I, do one of these, like where you're like, you're scared. I'll admit it, right? I'm just like, what
Hell
the
yeah.
fuck? And there's a big white, and first thing you're going to think it's a shark. Right. And I look over and it's like a 600-pound seal, right? And he's floating vertical and he's patting his belly. And he's just like looking at you, and you're just like, and how does an animal like that sneak up on you?
Yeah.
I'm not talking it's one of the little guys. Like this was the big monsters that you see, like that terrorized boat docks and stuff. Was
Yeah.
just like, what are you doing in my domain? And you got some fish there. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Yeah,
So
come to
the
snatch 'em
wild
up.
is crazy. It's whenever I leave for this stuff, my wife Britt, she always says, "Don't get hurt, just die." But she knows that I love it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I'm comfortable with that. And I don't want it to happen. But, when you look at that uncomfortable stuff, but she's just like, and what she means by that is don't get hurt by yourself backpacking and be suffering. You know what I mean? If something is going to happen,
Yep.
like, I hope you get smoked.
Yeah, dude. There's some truth to that. Even something as easy as trout fishing. I was trout fishing actually first to encapsulate that point. That's all resemblant of it. It's all like it means the same thing. And then after that, where does your brain reset? After you experience those type of things. Like you're a different person now because of that bear charge.
Totally.
And that's a good thing. And unless we force ourselves out of our comfort, you're damn right. It's super easy to be comfortable on your couch and turn on the TV after work.
And let's just talk young men. Okay. Nothing against that. I'm never talking about ladies, but it's like, how do you push yourself? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think too, part about being a young man, part of masculinity, testosterone, you want to compete with your buddies. You're going to have all that, right? And some reason, like, I think in society that's tried to be suppressed. And I think that's what causes a lot of anxiety in people too. It's like, kids are going to argue, like, but it used to be the old days, like if you got into a fist fight and then someone won, you'd like, all right, or you pinned them or wrestled them or whatever, you know what I mean? And the same thing carries on into the outdoors, you know what I mean? It's just another way to channel that energy to challenge yourself. And, it's like, have you ever skydived?
No.
Awesome.
No.
Yeah.
But see, skydive to me, man, it feels like it would be roller coaster-ish. Like it just feels like a cheap thrill.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm reading it wrong because I've never done it. But you think you found some value in it?
Oh, dude, like when you're rolling up, like the very first time you do it, and you're just kind of like, and I remember the first time I tandemed, okay, and actually goes back to Jimmy May. He took me out with, that Mayday executive that he does. Okay. So he'll do like some crazy leadership stuff where let's say Vortex wants to take some of their leadership guys and like they'll go out in the middle of Montana, right? And he'll get other SEALs, right? Or retired SEALs or like people that are helping him, like, put on his like leadership or put people in uncomfortable situations, right?
Okay.
And it's like, hey, we'll set up a tent and we'll do all this work out here. We'll teach you how to do all this stuff. And they started as a night jump and they skydive right into it. And that's how you start your adventure.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he'll do stuff like that, which is cool. But, other things too, it's even like just that, that uncomfortableness and that stuff. It's like, we did some cool things of like leadership, team building of like J turns in a car, like, because some of his real life interactment that the SEALs learn how to tactically drive. So he'll take you out into California and he'll take the airbags out of these cars and you go out in the middle of the desert and, you come up and you push cars and they spin out, or you're driving in reverse and you and hit a J turn and without stopping and you're going forward. And a lot of that's real active stuff, that he did one in Yemen, right? Where he was, they were dropping light poles on him trying to stop him. And he's whipping the car around in a Ford Taurus. And dude, like real life stuff. I mean, it's real life situations, but just pushing that, right? Pushing that comfort zone is kind of where we always get to. That I think is cool that a lot of young guys can always learn and not be afraid to do it or try something, try entrepreneurism, try going to school. Like I think technical schools are a great place now. Like, it's even financially, you look at it, you look at a college education, let's say inflation is up, 100% since 1980. Okay. But the cost of education is up 1,200%.
Yeah, dude.
And it's like, is your education keeping up with that?
Yeah.
Or, are technical schools a good way to learn a good skill right away and start putting it into the workforce right away?
Absolutely.
Or being marketable out there with AI and all this other technology coming around?
100%, man. Yeah. And it's all about perception, where someone's willing to, look past or understand what the perception actually means. I've had students with master's degrees. I've had students with doctorate degrees that came to learn a specific skill. Yeah. And it's weird, I'm a career marketer. I almost have a master's degree. I was hired under an, what do they call it? Exemption or something like that, with the understanding that I will get it. I'm almost done now. But even that scenario, there's something to learn from anybody. And it's up to the person to like find ROI, right? Like somebody could go to Harvard, spend probably $500,000, I would think right now, and leave there with an experience, but not having learned anything. And then someone could go to a technical college for a $15,000 tuition, learn a skill, and turn it into a $100 million business. Yeah. It's all about, again, the comfort, man. What do you do and the intention? What do you do with what you learn and what you experience? And then can you turn it into the vision?
Yeah.
You were talking about.
Or you take a gal, like her real name, I don't know what her real name is, but like Skylar Gray. You know who she is?
Skylar Gray.
Yeah.
The singer?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, she's from Wisconsin.
Is she really?
Yeah. Yep. So she went to Spring Green. She grew up in Mazo, Maine.
Oh, home of the shitty barn. I don't know about Spring Green.
Dude, right? So, I mean, and she was just on Rogan, I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, she talks about it, the Midwest and stuff like that.
Right.
But one of my first employees I ever hired, Kelly Finn, went to school with her.
Okay.
And we would always talk about her, and she dropped out of high school.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And what the grain against, like, she even kind of talks about it. Her parents are like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Not even like that, because I think her family was pretty artistic, or not autistic, artistic. And like her mom she used to travel like with her mom and sing. Okay. They would do like,
I didn't know she's from Wisconsin.
Yeah, totally, dude. It's pretty rad, right?
That is.
She kind of talked about it too, how she had teachers told her, like, you're never going to make money in music. And, and again, I'm being more hard on teachers, because there's great teachers that are out there. Mm-hmm. And I'm all about the education system, right? And I just think we could just tweak it to where people are just actually making mistakes, learning real life. Like, how many times are we teaching people how to fix cars in school? Like just, dumb things like that, right? Yeah. Like real life, versus just sitting in the classroom, listening to somebody talk and take a test. And I can't wait to get out of here.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know why the system has done that, but it always comes back to those things. So think about this scenario. There's a lot of K-12 districts where art has been significantly either not funded or removed even.
Yeah.
Now, think about what we're talking about and what's actually valuable in life. Well, to a 16-year-old kid, how valuable is it to put together a piece of art that they're proud of and then try to be comfortable showing it to the world?
Yeah.
Like show somebody something you created. That's uber valuable. To me, that's more valuable than someone learning calculus. If you need to know calculus, okay, when it comes to the point in my life that I need it, I can learn calculus then on fucking YouTube or something, you know? You can't reteach a 16-year-old to say, okay, step outside of your comfort zone. This is going to be scary. I know this thing. You don't know if it's great, but you created it. Now show it to the world. Because how many people created cool shit that sits in their basement that they don't show anybody?
Yeah. Here's, again, this isn't name dropping. It's just fun stories, right? Randomly, I went pheasant hunting, right? And a friend of a friend of just a guy that was just in our group, the one guy that's just his buddy is Austin Post, if you know who that is.
Yeah.
Right. And it was
Post
fun.
a pheasant hunter? Or did
Post a big outdoor guy.
Okay.
100%.
Nice.
Yeah, he's quiet. You know what I
Nice.
mean? It's and that's his story to tell. It's not mine to tell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But no, he's just very knowledgeable, you know, and it was fun to sit and hang out with him for a couple nights and just have conversation like this, right?
Mhm.
And he's just Austin. It's not,
Yeah.
you know, it was funny, like someone was like, "Oh my God, you're Post Malone," and he goes, "Only on the weekends." You know, it was just fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about one of the like most genuine people that you know meet. Like obviously, you know, people are going to have beers and stuff like that. He was the first guy to get up and grab a beer. It was the first guy to open the door for you. It's you know, the last guy to eat.
Mhm.
I mean, just very, very complimentary. And it's like, you know, to take him and where I was going with this, we're like talking about like, if you look at his first video that he put on YouTube, you're like, what is this?
Is that the White Iverson one with him spinning around in the desert?
No, there's one that's even more with him with cut off jean shorts.
Okay.
And he's shaking his ass on the screen.
Nice.
It's hilarious, dude. And what to ever have the security to do that and try it, and how many people are saying, "Oh, you're stupid."
Yeah.
I get that now. Like, what are you doing? Like, what? Oh my God, why are you talking on YouTube or
Mhm.
any of that stuff? Right? It's
Yep.
even funny. Like that stuff, I do it for me.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, like I do, and it helps hone in my skills, and
Yeah.
I love having it on tape. And if it changes one person's mind, that's
I like the
cool.
ones you've been doing with your bow. You shoot your bow and then talk about
Talk
like
a little
entrepreneur reacts to
Reacts
dot.
to,
Yeah.
it's just fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But one of the cool things is I got, you know, a conversation with Austin was I asked him, I go, where do you see AI going in music? He
Mm.
goes, my job's done.
Really?
Yeah. He's just like, he goes, because he just feels like he talked about like auto-tune,
Yeah.
you know, and how cool it was that he got to use technology to be
Yeah.
creative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to bring a different flavor to it. But talk about authenticity. That guy is truly authentic to himself.
It seems like it.
Oh my God, dude. Like it's, you know, we were lucky we went to his concert when he was here for Summerfest.
Okay.
And how he interacts with the crowd, like he truly is very grateful that these people come out. He says it all the time,
Mhm.
right? But you know, and he's just kind of like, yeah, he goes like, you know, where music creativity is going to go. And I'm just like, don't you think someone wants a connection to that person? And he's like, Trav, he goes, you're right. He goes, I understand exactly what you're saying, but he goes, take it 2 generations beyond. People aren't going to know, like, you have that connection with me that I created this music. That it'll be just generational, where it'll be just there.
The connection will look different.
The
That's what he was
connection
getting
will
at?
look different.
Interesting.
Yeah, dude. And he's just like, you know, and then there's just going to be all this different creativity as technology goes. But it's the same with entrepreneurism. I don't think it's something to be scared of. It's just different for people to look at it.
Yeah.
Because I look at like the iPhone, the biggest invention that for the iPhone, let's just say, wasn't to make phone calls. it was tell me 20 years ago that someone knew there was an app developer for a career.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or there's in the military, you have a drone operator.
Mm-hmm.
Never existed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Callie and I driving up here that, obviously, Callie's with us here. And it's fun because she's a mom, her son's 16. And I get to have like these, she's like, I'm a helicopter mom. I'm like, well, let them struggle a little bit. I think you figured me out already. But she's mom. So she's going to automatically do that.
Oh,
right?
My wife and I have those conversations all the time.
It's awesome. Yeah. I love it. And I just kind of giggle, right? But the things that are going to be created that we don't even know that exists. And like we had this conversation on the way up. It was like, what was the guy that was riding a horse that said, I ain't going to take that car. Those cars ain't going to go anywhere.
Oh, for sure.
And here we are cruising 70 miles an hour up here to Green Bay from Madison, get here in 2 hours and 10 minutes. Otherwise it would have taken me 2 days on a horse.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's just kind of interesting to see, kind of going back entrepreneurism wise to see through it, talking about school. The schools can't even see it yet. Even you marketing wise, you're like, you can't even see it yet, but you probably have some good intuitions on how things
because it doesn't exist.
Are going to change.
Yep.
Personal brands. Okay. It's like when people are looking for a job, some of the things like a young, like I kind of go back to guys all the time, but young guys will say like, how'd you find such a great wife? I'm like, well, I hate to tell you, like excel at something. Be the best version of you can as yourself. Take care of yourself physically. Take care of yourself spiritually, emotionally, and put your best foot forward. You will attract a phenomenal person as your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it's the same thing like with school and everything else. And even like if you're going to go down the route where you're going to be an employee, when you even look at your personal brand, look at how you're representing yourself online.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Look at your social media. Look at everything that's out there because you can find everything around. And with AI and everything, because like Patrick Bet-David, I think, is one of the best entrepreneurs that's in our current generation, taking valuetainment, which is, we talked about, modern day media. He's already with valuetainment and just, I don't know, you know who Patrick Bet-David is?
No.
He's awesome. And him and I, he's actually 1 year younger than me. And he developed, started a company, sold an insurance agency during COVID, and then put that down. And now he started, valuetainment. He does a lot of YouTube stuff and, personal branding there, but he's got PBD podcasts where they talk business, they talk politics, but they debate everything.
Okay.
And it's great to listen to. But when you look at just that change, they look at when they interview people, AI goes through and does the first swipe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And think about personal branding, where we're going with that. What AI is going to go out there and look at your social media and just give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down because it can just do everything instantaneously. So when you look at even like personal branding, putting yourself out there socially, I think everybody should do it. Be comfortable on the camera, be comfortable, expressing yourself. But also, too, you got to be able to sit and have a conversation. And that's going to be the main thing that we're going to see because humans want that connection. They want that Wisconsin tavern, not the hammered, ripping Jameson and Captain and Diet Cokes like they're going out of style. But people are always going to go back where they want that human touch. And how that's going to go through that's going to be the, magic of marketing is like, how do you keep that rolling together?
Absolutely. And that's probably what Post was getting at, right? Because there's still going to be the human element, but I haven't thought about it this way of it might not be via the music, but the human element is how that person then shares what they created.
Yeah.
And really that's how Post is made. That's how he got as big as he did because his
technology,
his personality.
Yeah.
It calls people in. Mm-hmm. So like the different genres of music he's made, people still see him as the person that he is because he shows that and he's the conduit. So in a way, that makes a ton of sense, dude. It doesn't matter what the creative material is. It's the person being the conduit to it. That's fascinating to think about, dude.
And even as a marketing professor, you look at that. It's like, I'm Monroe, Wisconsin. I'm a small town kid, right? Monroe was 10,000 people when I grew up, and now at 49 years old, you know how many people live in Monroe, Wisconsin?
10,000.
10,000 people.
Yeah, dude.
And I look at the technology that we're going, and you look at just even like old school way of thinking, okay? And this isn't political or whatever. This is just, to me, it's common sense. They're building this crazy big high school, right? They already had a high school. They could have remodeled it. But you look at financially with it, and you look at technology, the way technology going, do you really need this monstrosity of this brick and mortar as the technology is changing? We just went through COVID, you know, all these different ways that people are looking at education. Did you really need to spend this many million of taxpayer? You know, when you look at things of that level, it's like, or could you just, instead of raising everybody's property taxes, inflation's going out of the realm, it's kind of like take a step back, even like what Austin's saying, take a step back and looking at the different creativity that's going to come. That's where then you relay it into entrepreneurism, where entrepreneurs will have that intuition. Hunters will have that intuition of where that animal is going to be. You as a professor, you know, of teaching marketing, have that intuition of like, all right, how can I be up and out to look towards the future versus just in my own little fishbowl, right?
Mhm.
And see forward, because even like entrepreneurism, right? It's unless you're solving a problem for somebody, you don't exist.
Yeah, for sure.
Because someone has to reach in their pocket and pay you.
Yeah, there's got to be some
No
kind of
matter what it
value.
is,
Mhm.
right? Austin creates music that brings people together, and they have, it makes, you know, takes them out of their daily routine, and they have a great time. And he's very grateful for that. It resonates.
Yep.
And that's why he is who he is, right?
Yep.
And he's marketing himself well. He's running a business, and he has a personal brand. It's the same thing for a kid that wants to, Cam Haynes. He worked for Water and Sewer of Eugene, Oregon for 30 plus years. He loved to run. He instilled, you know, great things in his 3 kids, you know, good work ethic. He's taken James Williams underneath his wing, and James has become one of the best videographers in the hunting industry, creating all these awesome documentaries, being creative. AI can't replicate all that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But it all literally comes down to still the personal brand, being authentic, being who you are, and being comfortable with yourself. And that goes all the way down to someone being a janitor or anything that they're doing, right? It's
Yeah,
awesome. And that's the tinkerers and the visionaries.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one thought to kind of wrap that up before we get into Curb Your Enthusiasm. This was an interesting thing. So I don't, obviously I don't work for Google or anything, but here's, I think we can take this to a business realm too. Here's where I foresee this going. I've read a few articles that kind of confirm this, but I haven't seen anything from Google directly.
Yeah.
But it really piqued my interest when you said AI screening candidates for jobs looking at what exists online. So Google search completely shifted right now, obviously. Like SEO is out the window. Like, you know, I mean, building businesses when you did, you know how important SEO was for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Now with AI search, like you search Google, your first response is AI. It's the race to how do I get in the AI search results.
Yeah.
So I think what's going to happen is AI is going to crawl business profiles, or Google's going to use AI to crawl business profiles to try to optimize search, because that's their job, right? That's their thing. They try to optimize, they try to give you the answer as quick as they can and as easy as you can so you come back. So think about how, like, take the personal brand mentality and shift it to a business brand identity, and how important that's going to be of what's on your socials. What's on your website? What did this PR article write about you? And not through the lens of a traditional SEO, but does it make the AI that's crawling the search, does it make that believe that you're the answer to someone's long-form conversational question? It's not a phrase anymore. It's someone's went back and forth with AI 10 times about exactly what they want. Last week, they searched for shoes, but I don't want yellow because I hate the color yellow. So that AI knows that they don't want yellow.
Yeah.
So does your brand identity, everything that exists online, match what that AI is going to serve you? I think that'd be fascinating to work at Google right now to work through that, but it's so important as a business owner right now.
I've read too that they used to suppress smaller content creators
Yeah.
until they would kind of constantly be doing this, and then they would open it up. My friend
Yep.
George Gammon talks about this.
'Kay.
He's got a great YouTube channel called Rebel Capitalist,
'Kay.
or the George Gammon channel, right? He's not classically trained as a economist. He lives in Colombia, and he does whiteboard YouTube videos on the economy. He talks about, everything macroeconomics.
'Kay.
Teaches about the Fed, how money is created. It's awesome, right? I remember talking to him. He was like, yeah, he goes, I was here. I was just consistently posting. And then all of a sudden, one day I looked and my views just went through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, 700,000 followers or something like that.
And he was
YouTube.
talking YouTube probably?
Yeah, he's talking YouTube.
Yes.
But now they're talking about you have your larger valuetainments, the PBDs, the Rogans, and all these guys that are on YouTube, Mr. Beast, which, running all those. Now they're talking about how they're more suppressing the bigger guys, and now they're letting smaller content creators come up just because it drives more revenue even for them that way.
Absolutely, dude. TikTok changed the game in that.
Yeah.
TikTok was the driver because the For You page algorithm was so different than anything that was on the market already. Like Instagram was the people setting the way or the direction in that, and followers did matter a ton. If somebody had 1 million followers, they were immediately getting more reach. But then TikTok comes, and somebody with 62 followers can go viral at any time on the For You page.
Yeah.
And Meta's they're in a place right now as a business that they don't have to be the innovators anymore.
Yeah.
They can let other people innovate, see what works, and then dump all their coins in the bucket. And that was a shift on Instagram. Like I tell people if I'm pitching sponsorship with something for the pod, they'll look at my page and I think I have 1,300 followers or something, whatever. And I think it was October, whatever month it was, I did over 1 million impressions just on Instagram.
Yeah.
And they're running their business profiles saying, how did you do this?
Yeah.
I said, I provided value.
Yeah.
If you catch eyes, now the algorithm wants to know, does the first 5 seconds of that video capture somebody's attention, and does it usher them to act?
Yeah.
And if you do those two things, doesn't matter if you have 100 or 1 million, that content is going to do good. And that's because TikTok changed the game, dude.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Even like Instagram, we delete more that try to follow you than are bots. Because you don't want to because get caught into that.
Yeah.
You look at, some girl will be there and zero, whatever, I don't know. Then you're just delete.
And then you get the DM that says, hey, my friend saw your profile.
Yeah.
Totally.
But, Callie and I were looking at this. We were just kind of laughing. It's even look at videos, because you could see, I leave mine open so people can see it, right? Like how many people can view it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's the things that work well, even on mine, are animals.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. I think one, I don't know, whatever 1 point, whatever million it was, views was just literally a dog jumping into a Yeti cooler, drinking the water, and rolling around in it.
Yeah, because it was real life.
It's just real life.
Yeah.
And that's the authenticity that we're talking about versus, hi, I'm Travis, the smartest entrepreneur in the world. Listen to me. If you follow me, I don't know, dude. It's funny, but it's fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
man.
let's roll on your
let's get going with some curd your enthusiasm. So today I went with Cajun. I hope you're a Cajun fan.
I love it, dude. Cajun shore lunch. You ever have Cajun shore lunch?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's the best shore lunch there is.
We're Fleet Farm up here, though, I think.
Yeah, Fleet Farm up here.
We're old school Farm and Fleet. We're original.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that a myth that it was two brothers that got in a fight? Or it is that?
No, it was two families. There's Blaine's, and then there was the Mills family.
Yeah.
And that's where and they just drew a line, I think, in Wisconsin. And
you get this half, I get this half.
But now I think Fleet Farm is owned by hedge fund, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where they got into groceries, and they took it more, and Farm and Fleet's still your back card.
Yeah.
So I'm a Farm and Fleet guy.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's geographic.
No, Fleet Farm is awesome too.
Yeah,
obviously.
but you're right, dude. Spot on. Cajun shore lunch is the shore lunch to buy.
It's the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mix Cajun and original together.
Okay.
Totally.
Nice. I'm a perch taco. I like doing I'll do the Cajun shore lunch. A lot of times I'll bread my own, though. I just do flour and some seasonings and then crunch up some crackers in it to give it a little crunch. And then I'll make a nice slaw to make fish tacos.
Dude, I'm just straight egg, walleye in the egg, rolled in the bag with half and half, and Fried Addy.
Right in.
Let her
A
rip.
little salt after you take it out.
No, I just grab it out of there and eat it by hand.
I love it.
I'm a fat kid, dude. Let's roll.
All right, dude. So these are more rip and read. You can answer as long or as short as you want.
Yep. Do I got to eat curds as I go?
You don't have to. I'm not going to force you to eat.
Can I eat one now?
Yeah, dude. That's the whole
That's a
shtick.
point.
Absolutely. I want to try these Cajun ones too.
They're squeaky.
Yeah, they better be. I just got them. They're fresh off the press. Okay. So, hunting or fishing?
Hunting.
Hunting? Why?
I love walking through the mountains.
Okay.
Yeah, just the elements are great.
Okay.
Spearfishing's awesome. I'd rather spearfish than anything else, but
Okay.
definitely, I love being in the mountains.
Yeah. It's hunting hands down for me too.
Yeah.
It's a way different experience. Now, if I had to, like if it was sustenance, like if the world went nuts and like it was off-grid living, I would pick fishing every day because I think it'd be easier to live.
Mhm.
But hands down, I get so much fulfillment and joy out of hunting.
Yeah.
And it's so much more uncomfortable too.
And also just to elaborate at the end, I can. The hunting community is phenomenal. I just haven't been pulled into the fishing community. Besides spearfishing, like with Jimmy and like the Navy SEAL guys, the kinetic spearfishing guys and that. But the hunting community, the people, like I talked about Johnny Rivet, that would bear hunt with me. He's like the connector of all the connectors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That he gets such joy of like, oh, this person's so nice. They got great faith. And he's either crying with joy or he's laughing. He's never mad. He's working hard. You know what I mean? But, you get like Montana Knife, you get the Vortex, of the world, and just even those companies that are in the hunting community, you can vibe like this, like with anybody in the outdoors. And I'm sure like the fishing community is the same. Like Blacktip H seems like a cool dude that's on. You ever see him? Like he's the fishing that he does.
No.
Yeah, Blacktip H, it's called.
Okay.
Cancer survivor, survived a brain cancer, I think it was. Huge following on social media, and I'm sure that community is still the same. You know what I mean? But I've just kind of got pulled into the hunting community.
Well, that's another part of this that's really interesting to talk about, because if I meet somebody that hunts, there's no doubt that I'm going to resonate with that person and we're going to be able to talk for a long time. Of course, we're going to think about things a different way, and that's human. But if I meet a hunter, there's something about that shared experience. I don't know if that it is a little bit more divisive, that we are protective of our own or something like that, or if it's from the experience. But if I meet a hunter, like we could sit and talk for 4 hours about more than just hunting. I'm saying like we're gonna mesh on a human level.
But when you look at it too, I'd say 8 out of 10 of them believe in friendship, family values, faith.
Very true.
And working hard and having an appreciation for the animals that you're harvesting.
Yeah.
And being grateful for what God's created. And enjoying the public land, protecting that public land, not turning it in. I mean, there's bullshit going on right now with the
It's
government.
such a shit show, dude.
Oh my God. And it's like how anybody, and if there was something that, because I voted for Trump, I've been in Mar-a-Lago, I'm not trying to be cool. Like, I think it's awesome, right? But there's something that I could just be like, dude, what the fuck? Like, this is the people's land. It's just kind of like, come on.
Yeah.
That's a whole, like, the not 1 acre, like, Cam's pretty passionate behind that, getting on Rogan, and he knows it way more than I do, but it's, but yeah, some of that.
BHA has been a really important catalyst in that. It's awesome to see Callahan take the helm there, and they've been doing a great job, because that has been an absolute shit show, dude. That every acre that leaves is a travesty. Like that. Actually, you talked about Utah earlier. That dude from Utah, Mike Lee or whatever. Fuck that guy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, insane, dude.
Yeah, hit exactly what Cam's always talking about.
Yeah,
is that guy?
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
We are such a unique place in the world because of all the public access lands we have, and the joy and value that comes out of them. All this stuff we were just talking about, like the access is at the fingertips for free. People don't need resources to do that. Look at what needing resources to access the outdoors does to a place. Wisconsin's a prime example of Southern Wisconsin, it's kind of pay to play, dude. Like there's some public places that, and if you're willing to put in the work, like Infault or somebody, you're going to kill big bucks.
Yeah.
But it's way easier for the dude that has 200 acres in the driftless that he can manage pristinely and then walk out and sit in his stand on November 3rd, shoot his big buck for the year and leave.
I was very grateful to hunt up in Canada, as we call it public land, but they call it crown land.
Crown land, okay.
Yeah. And think about that just for 5 seconds.
Yeah, does that hearken to a king? Is that what that's getting at?
Well, yeah, the crown, because obviously Canada with England.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? But it's crown land. And it's, I'm very grateful they allowed me in the country to hunt. You know what I mean? But no handguns. There's grizzly bears in that area. Imagine going by Banff and everything else, and you're a citizen and you can't have a handgun.
Yeah.
It just, none of that makes any sense to me, dude.
It's crazy.
Yeah. You know, but that's a whole nother 5-hour conversation.
Yeah. All right. So hunting for both of us. Okay. One cheese the rest of your life. You can only have one kind. Which one are you picking?
Swiss all day because I'm Swiss.
Swiss?
Dude, all day.
Ooh.
Swiss, dude. Mushroom Swiss burger. Remember, I'm a Monroe cheesemaker. My wife's grandparents are from Switzerland. I'm 50% Swiss. So I'm going to roast Swiss all day.
I love your connection to like your conviction to the heritage, but aren't you pigeonholing yourself, dude? How are you gonna eat pizza?
Dude.
You gonna put Swiss on a pizza? Let it rip.
Let it rip. Let it rip.
I guess you could make a mushroom and Swiss pizza probably.
Yeah. I'm a man of no emotion. Okay.
That's hilarious, dude.
My friend Rob says that all the time. It's great. I just have no emotions. And he's a federal agent.
Gotta have to.
Oh, he's great. He's so funny.
All right. Yeah. Swiss. I asked, so that's one of my common questions. That's like one of the things if I just meet somebody for the first time, I think that's a good like icebreaker type deal. I've never heard Swiss. Yeah. You're the first person that said Swiss cheese to me, so you are definitely an outlier there. My answer is always Monterey Jack. Because it's I'm going purely for versatility. I can make a pizza. Tacos are my favorite food. I can still have tacos. If I think of Swiss cheese on a taco, dude, I don't know. So that one's mine. But.
So I'm probably just going ground raw meat anyways and throw some Swiss cheese on it and let it rip.
I love it. I love it. All right. It's funny that I have this question prepared because you've went through a lot of them today, but I figured you were going to be pretty passionate around this one. Favorite Wisconsin-based business?
Right now, I'll say Vortex, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, if you saw my truck and everything, I mean, that's great. This is cool. This isn't a plug, whatever, but Middleton Ford, right, actually has a Vortex edition F-150s that people can order.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll show it to you when we go outside. You know, you can.
Oh, you have
check
one?
it out. I have it here.
No shit.
Yeah. So I have an F-150 Vortex edition Raptor.
So it's like a trim package?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Totally, it is. Yeah, it's awesome, dude. And so they got together and they actually sell that nationwide. Yeah, like Middleton Ford. I mean, like this. You know, there's a good Wisconsin company, right? Chuck Pauly's down there with a group of guys, and they have like the Middleton Outdoors, but they have a Vortex, like they sell Vortex right in the dealership. They have their whole outdoor area. You know, they're very involved with kids, getting them out hunting. And yeah, so they got a licensing deal that they set up with Ford and them and with Vortex and worked with Seamus there, from Vortex and the rest of the marketing crew. Obviously, it's not just Seamus. I just know Seamus. I've never met Joe Hamilton or any of those guys. And
he seems like a cool dude. I followed him on LinkedIn recently. Yeah. He seems like a real cool dude.
I've just never had never crossed paths with him.
Yeah.
Right? But definitely I'll go with Vortex.
Yeah. Great business to have in Wisconsin.
Yeah, check out that Vortex edition. Like they're awesome F-150s. They lift them, custom interiors. Like there's Vortex logos embroidered in the seats and stuff.
Really?
So, dude, it's rad.
I had no idea.
Super rad.
All right, and final one. If you tomorrow woke up and you could pick 200 acres anywhere in Wisconsin,
In Wisconsin,
where are you picking it?
You know what? I'm going in my heart of New Glarus.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I love southeastern Wisconsin. Get a little bit of the hills yet, just a little bit. I mean, obviously, being Swiss and little Switzerland of New Glarus area.
Yeah.
But great hunting. But also too, it's if you got to produce your own food, it's great cropland that you can grow on as well. So you got some more versatility on it, and you got great. I'm lucky where we hunt. We've got great whitetails. So
Nice.
yeah. And turkeys. So definitely plentiful food to harvest on your own.
Good stuff, dude.
So,
I didn't know which way that one would go. I didn't
Yeah.
because from the I didn't know if the real estate investment side would take over and be like, which one would be worth the most?
my mind instantly went to straight Armageddon and
Yeah.
how I'm going to protect this house until I die.
Yeah. That's where mine goes too, dude. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've in jest, because I am a very social creature and I get energy out of stuff like this, but in jest, I've said that if I happened upon the lottery or
Mhm.
came into a bunch of money at one point, I've told my friends to already bid me adieu because I'm getting 500 acres of the middle of nowhere and I'm not leaving.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could take 200 acres downtown Madison, but if there's no commerce going on, it's just garbage land,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well,
Nice, man. Well, it was a great
Yeah, cool.
conversation. I appreciate your
yeah,
time.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was fun. All right, brother. You're the man. Congratulations to your success. I think this is awesome.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, it's been a trip.